What are you guys watching? Red, cool.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How is everybody doing? Hopefully you guys have had a wonderful week. Again, we're doing the Thursday show today just because of our great guest today who's usually busy on Tuesdays, so there's no way we would probably get him on a show ever on Tuesday.
You changed the entire show just for James?
I did, man.
That is called marketing.
Actually, I was gone most of the week, so it just ended up working out really, really nice that we could get Mr. James Too Good Harding on the show. What's up, James?
Not much. Just I was actually playing Civ with The Office. Yeah.
Original?
Civ 1 or?
Nah, 5.
Five.
Yeah. I've only played the original and this one, so I skipped everything in between. But I'm actually winning a game. I was losing every other game. I am winning, Sing. Fuck yourself.
Winning.
Fucking winning.
Man.
Trust me, I got the Great Wall. This is fantastic.
You got the Great Wall. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm trying to get that achievement, or God, what is it? Is it achievement? No, the Wonders of the World achievement or whatever it is. I can't remember. Anyways, but yeah. So guys, I was at CES like this week, and that's why we're doing a Thursday show. We're gonna be back to the regular schedule Tuesday next week, so be on the lookout right after the good show, after James and the crew do their thing.
Well, as long as he tidies it up at the end and actually finishes on fucking time for a change.
That hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. We might have to start half an hour later, actually, because of you guys. But we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, if you can just let us know, Jay.
Yeah.
If you just let us know when you finished, or when you're likely to finish, or when you want to finish, and then we'll start the show. If that's okay with you.
Yeah,
It doesn't put you out at all.
I'll have my people call your people.
That'd be good.
All right, aren't we both
providing
here?
you have people.
Aren't we both here already? I mean, but all right, let's get started. So, topics. So I wonder if to start off, since I was at CES, and I kind of want to bring up a couple things I saw there. Have you guys seen the blogs for CES and some of the cool stuff regarding gaming there at all?
Nope, just
Some of it, the Shield thing, the NVIDIA Shield.
Yeah, the NVIDIA Shield. Obviously, they announced that handheld console. It looks like a controller with a little screen on it, so it's kind of interesting, but they haven't announced a price point on it, and I don't know, not many developers have talked about it, so we'll kind of see what happens with that. But the one cool thing I did see from NVIDIA was the Grid. I'm not sure if you guys heard much about the NVIDIA Grid. It's like it's their cloud gaming solution, which is, it's kind of like a Steam where it's a client, but instead of having to download and install it on your client, you just play via the cloud. And I was playing like Battlefield on a MacBook Pro with the Grid on it, and I think the lag was about, I don't know, somewhere around 30 milliseconds or something like that, in addition to the normal lag. So it wasn't too bad. It was pretty cool because I forgot what the other games. I think it was Battlefield. There's a lot of big titles. Like basically, I was playing on a MacBook, which I know they don't support the Mac on a lot of those games. So yeah, it's kind of neat actually. So
yeah,
be on the lookout for that. I don't know. Cloud gaming should be pretty good. I don't know if it works for first-person shooters though.
Was there a bunch of mobile gaming stuff there? Since we talked about that a little bit.
Actually, no, there wasn't. The mobile section was tiny.
I heard that the finger touch-sensitive tablet-only version of Reborn was being shown.
Yeah.
It was in this one booth that was like filled with a bunch of booth babes, so I couldn't even see any of the products in there.
You couldn't actually get in the booth?
Yeah,
we didn't actually allow public into the Reborn booth at CES. We just hired booth babes and then told people you can't come in.
There's no
we would ask them questions like, rocket launcher, M5, sniper gun, and if they answered anything but rocket launcher, they wouldn't get in. And
but then your game only has one gun anyway, right?
Yeah, we only have one gun. It's just rocket launcher Reborn.
What would you need the other finger for if it's dual touch on the tablet?
Do we have to talk about that? Oh my god.
Well, in Reborn it moves for you anyway, because games are getting too hard these days. So Reborn, it's completely self-navigated, and then when you see an enemy, you just press the button and it fires a rocket. Because we've gone from one weapon as opposed to like, because Shootmania they did it right. They had like, was it 2 weapons?
Right.
And we thought, no, take it one step further. That's probably too many.
Does that mean you might return to pro gaming because you can actually hit something?
Yes, absolutely. There will be a DLC for aimbots, which of course, under the free-to-play model, you'll be able to upgrade to have like an aimbot, which is really cost efficient, and that's really going to set aside who's going to be pro and who's not. So we're going to have a really big pro gaming community, probably bigger than League of Legends, because if everyone just buys aimbots.
I was waiting for it, James. It actually took you 5 minutes and 20 seconds to down League of Legends.
I didn't down it.
Disappointed, man.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, what else was there at CES? Now we've all had jabs.
Other than that, gaming. Obviously Razer had their tablet and
who had the hottest booth babes at CES?
Hottest booth babes. That's
I saw some sexy Nvidia clad ladies.
Yeah, the Nvidia booth had some. But I have to say, like, all the great booth babes are always at these junky company booths. Like all the
Russian
big companies, they never hired these like great looking booth babes. It's always some like I don't know, some mobile case company or some crap. Yeah.
Chat like Razer normally have booth babes because it takes the attention away from their.
No, they actually did. There was a very good looking girl that was asking us to try out the tablets.
We need to remember, guys, that it's not about the looks. I mean, all of these booth babes, as you call them, they're very game knowledgeable and very.
Some actually are. There's actually an agency in America. Sorry, Paul. There's an agency in America called Charisma Plus 2. And there's an agency for like booth babe girls that actually are gamer girls, like either
they were at QuakeCon. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
We actually did an event with them when I was at CSN to some sort of charity event. It actually filled up. It was Quake even. And
I don't think
they played in it. Some of them actually played in the event.
ReDeYe, what was your story?
Wow.
Or have you forgotten?
No. I was just going to ask you while we're on subject of booth bays and stuff. When Fucklist 2.0 comes out?
Yeah, I don't know. Next time I'm drunk at 6 a.m. in the morning. I've still got to complete my first list. I'm adding it to my New Year's resolutions. So, next list, Paul. If you want to make the list.
I can't go on it. I'm sorry, mate. No.
Okay, all right. Well.
So when's the new page actually start?
It's like
25.
A repeat buddy fuck, wouldn't it?
I love doing stuff like that though, because it really pisses off the community. But what it actually does to me is just kind of highlight how sexist we can be. And
get away with it in gaming.
Yeah, but I mean, I just do whatever really, because I think it's funny to provoke emotions and thought between acting either really horribly stupid or saying profoundly weird things.
But the crazy thing is, like, you're the only guy that can pull that off. I think anybody else does that, and like, we're dead. we're totally dead when it comes to the community. So that's awesome. That's definitely awesome.
What's going on with your hair as well, James?
Huh?
I was just going to say the same thing. He has a lot of hair. That helps.
Yeah.
You've got like only one side of your headset seems to be able to appear because of the amount of massive hair on the other side.
I don't know, man. It's just
you're so radical, Jay. Honestly, you're so rad.
I watched it today.
Did anything fall out?
Huh? No. It was all okay.
He's not that old, man.
I'm 30, but Kat, what you doing? Okay. Sorry.
This is the oldest show in esports.
Is it? Because we're
combined age of about 110, I reckon. No, hang on. That's too much math.
That's probably true.
Too much math.
Actually.
Somebody said in the chat earlier, though, Chris, that you probably feel like a kid around us three. But again, they keep forgetting that you're as old.
He's in his 30s now.
What people don't realize
I'm as old as these farts, man. I'm actually one of these farts too. So.
Yeah. But what people don't realize is about John's comment. Actually, me, John, and Paul aren't allowed around kids together. So it's lucky you're a little bit older.
Oh man.
Oh my word.
All right, back to esports. So
yeah,
let's see. All right, next thing we got up. So just pickups, really, player pickups, and We're gonna be segmenting something right after it. But so Snute got picked up by Team Liquid, and it sounds like Alicia and Hart are gonna be. Or have they been picked up by Axiom, or it sounds like they're going to be picked up by Axiom?
Well, that's the story.
The story, exactly.
Story, which leads us on to something else. But before we even get there, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because when you put Snute on the thing, I was like, wow, did something happen that I didn't see? What happened? And obviously I knew that Snute had gone to Team Liquid, but then you put it on the thing, and I thought, well, hang on, it's only a day since he went on. What's happening with him? So I panicked. And when I was trawling Twitter, Freudian slip, I noticed that actually Stefano had tweeted about
Yep, he did too.
Snute, and said that he was the only other foreign Zerg that he had any respect for, which I thought was pretty neat of him.
Did he
Amongst
say
his
the word
many
have
tweets about
respect?
other stuff?
Pretty neat of him to highlight this person's good, but everyone else is shit.
Yeah,
Pretty neat of him, basically.
It's better than his tweet today. His tweet today was something about prostitutes. Okay, so.
Prostitutes and rape was a topic of today's tweeting. And I think Hydraulis actually did tweet at EG and said, "Really, is this controversial tweet? Does he really have to talk about this? Well, I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he has to get it off his chest, and Twitter's the way of doing it. I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe he's just the too good of Twitter."
Who's this? Who is this?
Stefano.
Oh, Stefano. Yeah, well, I just think he's completely
Young and dumb.
Yeah, I think he's living in his own little fantasy world. But I'll tell him after time it gets a little bit weird and boring, and then you can't return to the normal world. So I'll sit down with him over a drink.
He's just Padawan.
Yeah,
he's James's Padawan. Is what it is.
Stefano actually said the foreigner I have the most respect for. I found the tweet now.
Yeah.
So my apologies. He didn't say everyone else was shit, but
I mean, for me, I wanted to definitely highlight it just because I think it's awesome that Snute got picked up by Team Liquid because
it's great.
It's like I remember a year ago Snute was just playing Playhounds and EU Playhounds and didn't have much of a following. He had this really hardcore fan base, which was a couple hundred, 300, something like that number of people. And remember when we did that tournament, John, the My Favorites bracket series? Right. Remember that? And the guy who sponsored that, right, was like Snute was his favorite player, right? And back then, like, nobody knew.
And I think I asked at the time too, who's Snute?
Exactly. So
I didn't really have a clue who he was.
Yeah. So
well,
anyway,
I was quite shocked that he didn't get through WCS. I mean, that was one of the odd things. I was looking forward to seeing him come and play at WCS Europe, but that didn't happen. So it sort of he remained, as it were, a little bit under the radar for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I think one of the most interesting things about the pickup is how Nazgul picks players.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you look at the documentary and kind of what Nazgul looks in people, it's a very kind of reputable personalities in different regards. And I think that when I met Snute at 4 Open, I just found him to carry himself really well as a player, as a personality, and he really did focus on the game, and he's got really big ambitions. Because the fact is, as you mentioned, his kind of career prior to getting picked up to Team Liquid, wasn't that kind of. It was a career that maybe some people would have dipped out of and gone, maybe it's not for me, because I've been around as long as some of these other people, and I'm not, getting this kind of salary or getting to the events I want to go to. So I think that he's been able to do enough to motivate himself by, without like a team like Team Liquid. So I think that Team Liquid saw that potential, and I think he's going to fly. In my opinion, I think he's got a good mentality to actually constantly improve and play good.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. For me,
I love the way he picks players. I really do. I think a lot of it. So I mean, actually, let me rephrase it. Not a lot of it. Some of the picks that he makes seem to be emotional picks, based on how much he likes the player and how much he thinks that other people will like the player and their comments and what have you that they've made about that particular player. But they've still got to have skill as well. So I don't think he necessarily just goes out and goes, I really like this guy and he's a homeless man and he doesn't have a computer, but I'm going to train him up to play StarCraft and sign him for Team Liquid. He doesn't go out doing that, but he does pick up players that I think he feels an emotional attachment to, which I love. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's one of the best things. The only team that I can really like put up to where Team Liquid is now in terms of what the team was Fnatic back in its kind of golden day, where it felt more like a family.
Yep.
You know, that's what Team Liquid is now, and you know, EG in some regards as well. But you know,
when we were creating teams back in the day, they were called clans, and that's really what they were. It was just a group of your buddies, and you hung out.
But what's interesting to me is that Team Liquid, the players, seem a lot closer to the kind of management, and I feel that EG, the management, will always separate itself to certain regard to the player, so they're able to kind of, if they need to step in and put that authority kind of figure on, you know, decision making, they can have that. And I think within Team Liquid, it's a lot more friendly, and that's what Fnatic used to be like, in my opinion, back in like 2005, 2006. You know, it was everyone was very close to the owners, and a lot of decisions, and even some of the sponsorship decisions, were always tossed about with some of the players as well. So I think Team Liquid is one of those teams now that if you join, you're not only happy because they don't have as good sponsors actually, you know, as like as EG. So you probably don't get the salary that you would at EG, but you kind of get the support. And you know, I've sat behind TLO once at his house, and the whole team, like even all the other players, were just watching Tasia compete in GSL, and they're all just typing on Skype, you know, like what's going to happen, and you know what he needs to, you know, what he did right, what he could improve on, and how's he been playing, and they're all kind of supporting each other. So it's a really good organization to join. So everyone should be very happy for him.
Somebody in the channel is saying that Dignitas was never like that. Or
No. Fnatic was never. I don't think Newman would say Dignitas was never.
Dignitas
probably
always
Dignitas.
Been like
That.
Dignitas
has definitely been like that. But Fnatic was in many regards when me and Joe were there, because we really were the bridge between Sam and the players on a lot more of the personal stuff, and the players were always willing to do more than, you know, maybe requested, just because of how the management kind of worked with them. So
no, I remember Fnatic in the early days with Lauki and some of the UT guys, and Vu in 2005 were a really, really friendly team. I mean, they were a high profile team, but they were a friendly team in 2005 and 6.
But it was the cool team to be in, and that's what Team Liquid is now.
Yeah, it was.
Like Zoom HD from America did a documentary on Fnatic, and they picked Fnatic over all the other, you know, people, just because they said it, you know, how it felt as an organization. It felt more of a family, and I think that's a really good way to build a team. So well done to Snute and Team Liquid. But let's go on. What we're talking about now. I'm hosting the show.
Well, I was we're gonna talk a little bit about Alicia and Hart being picked by Axiom. You know, so Axiom has currently 3 players.
But it's not the picks, is it, Chris? It's not the fact that these 2 players might end up at Axiom. It's the story now is actually about Slasher and about what he supposedly did.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what we were gonna segment into, which was, you know, basically Slasher is you know, pretty much the go-to guy when it comes to the community, when it comes to finding out information early, you know, or just, you know, getting the first dibs on information when it comes to player announcements and stuff like that. And it was yesterday that, you know, a couple EG players ended up, you know, InControl and Nidra and specifically were basically, you know, criticizing him for releasing this type of news and kind of spoiling, I guess, announcements for teams. You know, having them kind of go through their own type of press release and you know, that quote unquote proper press release, and you know, him kind of, I guess, capitalizing on that, you know, in the way that I guess people think that he does. And there was obviously a large conversation that on Twitter that's kind of stemmed from it. And I figured it would be good just to kind of get y'all's opinions, or all of our opinions on what your thoughts on the whole thing is.
Red, you want to go, John?
Like, what is it with the beating up of Slasher? Is it like it's like an Olympic sport these days, isn't it? I mean, I think all of us, bar none in here, have had our run-ins with Slasher, and we've had our trolling of Slasher. We've had conversations with Slasher. I've been a friend with Slasher for many years. You know, love him or hate the guy, leave him alone, for Christ's sake. He's an esports journalist. He's paid to be an esports journalist. He's gonna dig up stories. Do you guys go and flame a reporter who picks up on a likely transfer story for Ronaldo going to Man United? Do you go and flame the reporter for bringing up the speculation or the rumour? No, you talk about the transfer rumour. That's the point. So I think we need to get the hell off his back sometime. I mean, I'm not going to defend Slasher. He can defend himself, but it does just seem ridiculous that we're picking on someone for doing his job.
And why? I'm curious as to why those two would be so upset about it. You know, Hydra and In Control. Why would they be so upset about Slasher doing exactly what Slasher's paid to do?
Yeah, but they've had to do announcements. Like,
Right.
In Control, you know, he told me, like, you know, we're going to be signing this player, but, you know, just don't tell anybody, you know, very privately. And I was like, yeah, okay, I won't tell anybody. And so he knows how important it is for the team sometimes to get the initial promotion, because a lot of announcing a player to a team is meant to build your brand. Obviously, EG is already a big brand. So, like, In Control probably understands the situation from a team side very, very well. The thing about Slasher is that when you're a journalist in esports, everyone's always going to give you shit anyway. Like, that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
You are the journalist. Like, you're the guy that when you have a conversation with him, you're always like, what do I say? What do I don't? You know, I don't say. So everyone's always going to be like that kind of way inclined. I even got it a little bit more because when I was behind the scenes not doing anything for a couple of years and working on BLC, people were quite open with me. And when I started the Good Show in the studio, that's where I can have an opinion on things now. You know, everyone's just a bit like, oh, you know, better check what I say to Jay. But the thing about Slasher is like, it's not his fault for releasing that information early. Someone must have given him that information. And Slasher is one of these people that if you tell him something and you say, do not, you know, this is
Off
not
the record.
public information, he won't use it. I mean, DJ Wheat already said this first, but if you know, he might go and try and find the information and message a few people around and see if he can get it somewhere. But the point is
that's
like
his job.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
That is his job. So you know, like Slasher came to me. He was asking about, am I putting a Dota 2 team together to send to Curse? And you know, do I know who No Tidehunter are joining? And I know all the answers, but I just fuck with him because it's really fucking funny.
It's Slasher Bingo as TV was putting it last week, right?
Yeah, like I like to string him along for a good amount of time till he gets bored of me, and then he decides I'm not going to get a straight answer out of this guy. There's no way that Michael O'Dell is joining Curse Gaming and The Verge, and his Dota team is going to go League of Legends, and the StarCraft players are going to join. You know, he just gets bored of me and leaves me alone.
Well, do tell, how many times have you given him information that you knew was going to get his get his heart racing, get him all interested, and then you knew that it was not maybe the right information. I know you've done it. How many times have you trolled him?
It's like, honestly, I don't actually. I end up not, like, if I know something, I won't end up telling him normally anyway. And he kind of figures out if you know it or not, and then he goes around and he finds it. So that's his job. But yeah.
Well, better question is where is Tidehunter going?
Huh? I actually, I think I know, but I don't want to say.
Boy, this is the troll right here.
But well, do you guys like? If the trouble is, I can type it to you in chat, but then you're going to be in the same situation as me, and if you type it, then
no, I don't want to know.
Exactly. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
No, because I already have Slasher on Skype right now saying, "Hey, get James to tell you."
But the thing is, I would rather let Loader and his team and the team that's going to invest time and money into them have their moment. And you know, I could be wrong as well, but I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's like
just seriously, it is a fine line sometimes. I've actually been in a position inadvertently, actually, and I sort of very proud of the fact that I talk to a lot of players, a lot of team managers, a lot of people in esports, and they do tell me stuff. And I've built that up over the years because they know they can trust me not to say anything, or just to keep it within a small circle of people. But it doesn't go public, doesn't get to Slasher and what have you. But a few years ago, I did actually inadvertently release something major and didn't think anything of it at the time. But then afterwards was mortified, which was that Warden was retiring, Counter-Strike player, legendary Counter-Strike player, who was actually with EG at the time, and he came up to me we've known each other for years, spent time with each other on CGS, obviously, and he came up to me at WCG, I think it was '09, and said, we were just chatting away, and he said, "Oh, dude, you know this is my last tournament, right?" And I was like, "Wow, I didn't know that. Are you what are you doing?" "Well, I'm going back to college, blah, blah, blah." We had a bit of a chat about it. He didn't say, this is private, or, this isn't announced yet or anything, and I just casually mentioned it during the match that we were commentating on, and all of a sudden I've got Scoots phoning me, I've got Alex Garfield phoning me, like, "What the fuck are you doing? We haven't said anything yet. You're not supposed to release it." And I was like, "Holy shit, what have I done?" And so you do need to be careful sometimes, especially when other people trust you with information. So I do understand where In Control and Idra are coming from as well, but at the same time, if you cannot blame Slasher for doing what is his paid job.
Yeah, and sometimes you want to tell people stuff before it gets announced anyway, so they can prepare news articles about it. Like sometimes when I want something to be announced, I've gone to people beforehand and I've said, "We're doing this. We're announcing it 12 o'clock this day. Get an article ready. Put it up at the same time."
But that's standard procedure, right?
But that's sometimes a better way to work with Slasher, because at the same time, I'm not saying a better way, but that's the way you can work with journalists, because it's like they know that they've got a story that's going to be hit on the day, and they're going to, and you can give it to them exclusively, maybe, if you think their community's big enough, or you can give it just a few amount of people, and then that actually helps the impact of the announcement. So rather than potentially EG just announcing, J-Dong, and obviously it was big enough, but maybe they could have worked with like five news writers who had it ready and weren't allowed to post it until X time. Because that can work. Because I did that with BLC, with like tournaments that we announced, etc. And we got that announcement across like Arena Junkies and other different websites, and it really did help the impact of the news article because they linked back to the source. Which is kind of what you want, and everyone wins that way. So I don't know, but if people aren't telling Slasher stuff, he's going to go looking for it even harder. So
that's true. That's true. I mean,
maybe it's the journalist.
The most interesting parts, comments that from guys like Richard is that they criticize him for kind of being me, or drawing attention to him, or maybe drawing attention to GameSpot for doing these sort of things, but. That's like the whole point. I mean, that's what he should be doing. That's what he's supposed to be doing. So
but as I said, it's understandable why In Control and his side are like a little bit miffed at it, because for them it would be really a big thing if it was their team, and they respect other people's teams as well in esports. And at the same time, you can't criticize Slasher for doing it, because if he gets hold of the information and he gets hold of it outside of "don't post this," then sure as hell, he's going to try and get the scoop, because that's his job. So you can understand where people are coming from, but I don't think it's too big of a deal. So next topic.
All right, League of Legends Season 3.
Ooh, okay, right, great. Shit.
so let's just blank out James here on the overlay here for a second. So break time for James. No. really quick. Season 3 starts Friday. I was talking to DJ Weed about it a little bit because he's going to be there, but
it's good.
The big thing about Season 3 is that there's just been a lot of information that's been. I feel like they haven't really released all the information yet on Season 3, even with it starting soon. So kind of want to get your thoughts on, do you think all the teams that are going to be participating in Season 3 will be participating in other tournaments, like MLGs and IPLs, and because
that's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I've heard kind of. I mean, nothing confirmed, all right. So I'm not starting rumors or anything, but definitely there have been some talk that even though Riot has said that no, we allow them to play, it's most likely they're not going to have time to play, given that they've announced the number of matches they have to play now for the season. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
And Chris, before you go, I have actually heard from two teams specifically that was kind of part of the deal.
Not to play.
They would play only Season 3, and they wouldn't play in the other tournaments. Now, whether that was in the contract or not, I don't know. But
which Season 3 are we talking about now?
Riot Season 3, League of Legends.
Right, okay. There's
Come
so
on,
many
man,
different Season 3s.
This is what we're all fucking here for.
I feel like what's happened is, right,
okay.
I feel like I've been transported into James Harding's body and I've been put on the good show.
Exactly.
And I actually don't know what the topics or the subjects are, and
I'm fucking wired for this show.
I need a cat to stroke
Right, go get yourself another girly drink, ReDeYe.
Oh, girly drink.
Sorry, did I just insult? Was it Fanta Twist?
Dude,
Did I insult your
Twist.
favorite drink?
that's
What is
Fanta
it?
fruit twist.
Fanta.
I mean, can you get that? You know, do they when you go to a bar? Do they have umbrellas and stuff for that kind of stuff?
They,
I mean, if
they
they don't,
do.
do you still drink it?
James, you've shared those same umbrellas with a straw. I remember that cocktail bar, do you?
No, what are we talking about?
A
Which
German
hotel?
cocktail bar.
A German cocktail
A
bar.
German cocktail bar at 2 a.m. in the morning in Cologne. I know
Oh,
a bar. I
yeah.
know it's open with some really scary people in.
Yeah, but this is the bar. I think
Right.
if it's the German cocktail bar, they think
Yeah.
I'm famous in there,
Yes,
and I
they
get
do.
free shots.
Yeah,
So-
you did.
Because one time,
Nice.
me and Matt Ryder were in the place, and what happened was, right, I was like, I drank loads of drinks, and I'm always quite generous when I'm drunk, and I end up buying the round. So I drank loads of drinks, and then
Wait,
these people
what?
came in. Not with you, ReDeYe.
No.
Yeah. So the thing is. This is when I'm drunk. I think I'm generous. I'm probably like stealing people's money for all I fucking know. And in my own head, I'm like, you know, I'm. But anyway, so, me and Matt Ryder were there. Someone came in and recognized us and wanted a photo with us, and all the staff saw it. And then when the bill came, I paid for it. It was like €150 or whatever. And then they were like pointing at me at the bar, like that guy's famous. And we got loads of free shots and stuff. And I was like, fucking hell, this is awesome. Thank you, random kid, for a picture. And then when we used to go back there, what I used to do with the people I drank with, I used to get them to give me the cash before we went there. Like set amounts of cash. So when we drank, I would still get to pay the bill like I'm the famous guy, and we'd get
Oh
more
my
free
God.
shots.
Oh,
And then you're like, how's it
Oh,
going?
That's brilliant, dude.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty
It's good.
smart.
Ridiculous.
Because every time they just thought like, oh, this guy's buying all
You-
the drinks. And
Do you see how over the years stealing tigers has kind of escalated into stealing people's cash?
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
I was there when he did that too. And
It's
Fatality's
getting
like,
out
"Where's
of
my
hand,
tiger?"
James. Are you seeing anyone for that?
stealing cash?
Like
Oh
therapy
no,
or-
I'm okay. I went to an AA meeting though the other
You
day.
did. Okay.
Yeah, it
What
was just
was
a bunch
that
of
about
veterans.
roads or?
What?
Are we-
There was
This
just
is
a
an
bunch of
esports show,
veterans.
right?
James is on here,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. No, it could be anything. I have no. So anyway, season 3. That's what
Season
we're talking about, wasn't it?
Right.
See, this is really frustrating for me because I actually know. Hang on, I've got to
More?
be careful what I say now. I
Uh-oh.
know some stuff about season 3 and I can't say anything.
I don't know anything, so let me speculate.
all right, here
Oh,
we
okay,
go.
I'm just gonna leave
James
you
turning
three
into
to talk
co-host
about.
for this one.
And then-
This is what we've all
laugh
been
every
waiting
time we
for. Okay, so right, they're coming in with season 3. Season 1 was a test run that only cost 100 million. Season 2, before that went well, let's put the NASA budget into it. I mean, it went fantastically. So season 3, they're like, we're spending all this money, and we have all this power, right? Because like we've got the fucking money. Boom. That's and that equals power. So they're like, well, fuck it. Why don't we get the teams just to play in our own tournament circuit? We call it the Riot Awesome League of Legends Season 3 Grand Finale of Awesome. And the teams that we want to play in it, like the big profile teams, we'll give them some money. We'll give them like a salary, and they're playing our tournament, and that'll be fucking great. Because then we'd be like, yeah, we can help them. We can, like give them some wages, but then we can also maybe even make money off them. Essentially, couldn't we? Because we could like sell them to sponsors. We could maybe have some rights for them if they go on TV, and that's great. And what we do is we'll like take all these people that help build our brand, but we did give them a lot of money, essentially. Like Intellect Stream Masters, MLG, and we'd be like, you're not as cool as we are. But they won't mind that because we've got all the money. So they're just going to have to like say, yeah, we're not as cool. And we'll say to them, we go, you can be the minor stops for our Super Mega Awesome tournament, but we're not going to let the Super Mega Awesome players play in it because they're awesome and we're awesome. And, if you know us, you're awesome by association, but not that awesome. And you guys can have your tournaments and you can use your tournaments to build up new talent into League of Legends. And if they're awesome enough, which they probably won't be because they're in your tournament and not ours, we'd allow them to qualify into our tournament. So we're cool, and you guys can be
Hold on.
semi-cool.
I'm just going to check and measure how
And-
far out you are. Hang on, let me just check.
and and that will be season 3. And I don't know. I have no idea if I'm just making stuff up.
That's
Sounds
actually
about
what,
right,
what I would
actually.
think it is. Chris and I talked about this a little bit too, and
Am I
and
right?
I actually
I just
don't.
made that all up.
No, I think
Just
you
came
might
to me in a
be
dream.
you might be onto something, James.
Ah.
But I actually think it's an opportunity for organizations like MLG and IPL and others, because there's a lot more people that are playing the game that have that are not going to be at the top level. And I mean, the thousands and thousands of people that tune in to watch, 85-90% of them will never play at that. Sorry about the phone. Will never play at that level, so they're going to need a place to play. And I think
Yeah.
MLG and the others have a great opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I don't
anybody
honestly
is
think
anybody
it's,
is anybody
I-
gonna watch those teams though?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that's the thing, right? I don't honestly think it's a bad thing. Okay, I don't think it's a bad thing to because they're still going to pay, they're still going to support MLG IEM, right? So it's actually not a
Right.
bad thing, right?
Sure.
But the bad thing for MLG and IEM is a lot of their business model and their expansion within sponsorships, etc., is based off the kind of viewership.
Yep.
Like if you say 5,000 people turned up to a hall and watched video games, everyone's kind of like, yeah, that's great, 500 go to this pub, but you don't see me sponsoring them.
I don't know how far I just walked, but that means you're a long way out.
Okay. I'm impressed that you can do that. I hope you haven't hit that. But the thing is, it's not a bad thing. But the thing is, the business models around IEM and these with their sponsorships is mainly now off the kind of digital audience. It's the audience that you don't get to see. It's the audience at home. So those numbers are always quite critical when it shows growth and also how you work with sponsorships or new sponsorships and retain your sponsorships as a key manager to be able to justify the money they're putting in and what you're going to do next year. So in some regards, Riot actually make their lives at the start potentially harder because the top teams are going to be in the season 3. Now, Riot have the power, as all game developers do, to actually point a finger at something and make it big. Okay, and Riot can do that. So if Riot also are going to put into this is season 3, and here's also the other tournaments you can qualify, and we're going to promote them like their own, it probably won't hurt Intel Extreme Masters and MLG that much, and should encourage a much more grassroots growth around the player base that are based. If you're American, you go to MLG. If you're from fucking anywhere, you go to IEM. They're everywhere.
does that sound something that's familiar, Paul, or no?
Does what sound familiar?
Just if they they include organizations like ESL into this point system.
Doesn't sound like anything I've heard about.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm always curious.
This
where
is
Riot
so
are gonna
hard.
go.
Oh god.
We gotta
Like,
torture
I-
them at least.
Yeah.
No.
What?
I'm talking about League of Legends here.
No.
Fuck you guys.
Okay, sorry.
I-
Continue, Randy.
See, I'm curious where Riot are trying to go with what they're trying to achieve, because they always seem to be thinking that they have the ability to plan the new idea and put the new idea in motion, even though people haven't done it before. I kind of get the impression that they want to innovate esports, but when I look at the talent that's actually within that company, I'm like, maybe answer to some phones, for the first year would be a
Don't
suggestion.
beat around the bush, James.
Dude,
if
there's
you're
9 buttons
talking
on this phone.
specific people there, then who do
Well-
you not rate?
I haven't met anybody within the Riot esports department that I think is smart enough to work with that company with strategy to put something in motion that's very successful from the get-go, cost efficient from the get-go, even against marketing dollars, which is obviously different than if it was just cost efficient as in you're making money from the get-go. And I think a lot of the decisions are being made based around, we want to be the biggest game. So therefore, to be the biggest game, it's a marketing ploy to show people that you're big. So if you spend more money than your competitors, you look bigger, right? And if you advertise more, you look bigger. I mean, some of their advertisements...
I know this might sound a little condescending, but welcome to corporate global world domination.
Yes,
I mean, that's pretty much what every company does in the world. So why is it you hate them so much?
I don't hate them so much. I just don't think that their strategies within esports are for what I think esports is meant to
But
be.
why? What do you think?
About. No, the
but what do you think
strategies-
it will damage, though? What hurt do you think it will bring?
I think that the main thing about what esports can do, and when it's put into the power of esports in terms of like using the developers, is cross pollination of the games. So I don't believe that Riot really care for any kind of cross-pollination because that's their business model. They are corporate. They don't want people to know that Dota 2 exists because they might lose somebody. And if they're bigger than Dota 2, they obviously want to keep their players there because they have less to gain. But that is just their strategy. So I look at them and I look at esports and I say esports was something that was built up from clans and community growth and grassroots and just people doing stuff that they wanted to do. And someone corporates come in and they've got a game that actually can fit within esports because it's competitive. And they're kind of, just basically, they're not letting necessarily the esports community kind of maybe fit them in. They're kind of saying, this is what we're here, this is what we're doing, and, like it or lump it.
I think that's what other companies have done before. It's not new. It's new for a publisher, perhaps, but I don't think it damages esports, does it? It
doesn't damage
the community.
It doesn't damage
changed,
esport
right?
at all. It doesn't damage esport. It's just against my core philosophies of how to grow esports. It actually grows esports in its own regards because it brings players in to have a recognition to what esports is. So in many, I Riot is not bad for esports because they bring in a huge player base and they do it their way. But what they try to do, which I don't agree with, is control like the customer and their market share so aggressively that I had a contract when I was at Bloodline Champions given to me from an event organizer, and basically I was on the list for Bloodline Champions as a game that couldn't appear at a tournament because I was a competitor to League of Legends, including as well Dota and Heroes of Newerth was on that list. So basically they were like, because we're going to give you this much money, because we're going to strong arm our way in, we're going to pay you more than anybody, you're not allowed to work with these other games. Hello. We are corporate company. So it's a different philosophy.
I understand that. But do you not think that the osmosis effect of League of Legends being big and popular and mainstream and in the press and on TV and what have you, do you not think that has an osmosis effect to other games that would benefit across esports?
It will over time. But unfortunately, we have to educate all those League of Legends players and put them through a boot camp of what esports is afterwards. Because basically they're just.
I think did DJ Wheat not call League of Legends a gateway drug?
Well, it's the dormant to esports.
It is, but it's
basically the dormant.
So are you basically saying you need to put these guys into rehab?
Yeah, I'm in the club drinking Dom Perignon, right? Because I've earned it, right? I'm buying
You're the hero that we need, James.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And League of Legends turned up, and I was like, look, guys, I don't really know, because, no offense. We're kind of full tonight. And I said, maybe, and I was like, maybe you could be dormant to the esports club. And then, but what I didn't realize was these dormant esports, which is where the people get introduced to what esports is, because they bring their own marketplace, that they were trying to bring, under 14s to my club. And I was like, so I let some of the girls in, obviously. But I was
the 14-year-old girls you let in?
Turn around as many other people as possible. But then what they did instead, because they had shit ton of money, they went and opened up their own club. And now they don't acknowledge our club exists. So I'm gonna burn down their club.
Oh, Jesus.
Take their women. And
can you not just open up another club that's even bigger, with bigger lights and bigger boobs?
I've got the biggest. Hey, Chance. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but basically what I'm saying is I don't like corporate strong arm companies. I much prefer companies that are much more open to the growth and the success of a company is based off the success of your product and how awesome you are to the communities that you support, as opposed to being a strong arm. So it's kind of like, it's just how I look at it. So I don't like them. Like that side.
I tell you what I don't like is background terrorists.
Yeah, he is a fucking terrorist. There's another one.
There's another moonwalking terrorist
epidemic
in the
over here. How did they get in?
I don't know. Trance is typing in chat while he's trolling.
Yeah, how is he
trolling video? How does he do that?
That's just how he rolls.
Yeah, he's a fucking
that
asshole.
guy.
One time I was playing Skyrim. All right, and my mouse kept on flipping out, and I was like, "Trans, there's something fucking wrong with your PC. It like keeps moving my mouse." And then basically, because I'm stupid technically, or technically stupid, basically I was on stream flipping out, and every time I turned around and talked to him, he was keeping a really straight face and kind of like being like, I don't know, and he was like coming over and checking my mouse, and he goes, like, "It seems all right," and I was like, and I'd go back and play again, and I'd try and fight some warrior or goblin, and I was like, my mouse was going fucking spastic, and I was freaking out, and it was fucking Trance on his mobile phone, playing Skyrim behind me. And that was his funniest joke. I'm going to tell that when he's dead, which will be probably in a couple of weeks. That would be at his that joke. Well done, Trance. You've really made a mark.
Black mark.
All right, next topic. Good Studio. What are your big plans for 2013? Like more events, more in-house stuff?
Wait. Before you ask him this, let me just ask Slasher.
Okay.
Whether he knows what Too Good Studio plans are.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, I just want to.
We should get Rod on the show. We haven't had Rod on the show
told him.
yet, man. We got to get Rod on the show.
You already know. Yeah, we definitely need to get Rod on the show.
I want to let you. I totally agree with what James was saying in regards to League of Legends. So
yeah,
not that anyone cares, but I totally agree.
Fist bump.
That's right. If I can do it, there we go.
You've got hairy knuckles.
You know,
I feel like we're just going to see more and more. I feel like we're just going to see more and more of that, anyways.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
What if we see more and more developers doing that very same thing? We're going to run into a problem.
The thing is, it's like when I do Reborn, I will obviously have a price point when I go to like events. Okay, so when I finish the game, it's like, okay, I want to be at MLG. They're going to be like, well, we're going to have to pay. You have to pay this much money to be here. But rather than just say I can pay all of it and more, and actually these are the rules of engagement, I'd rather come to a point where I'm like, well, maybe we can pay you this much, and what we can do for you, because you want viewerships, is make sure that you're advertised in game. We make sure that we put some MLG exclusive skins in there, so over the weekend of the MLG tournament, people can like log on and win like these, things for the game that they can show off that they were online or at the MLG tournament, and we can end up working our side to make you more famous within our community, because within the game community of like if MLG want to get all the Reborn players to know who they are, they don't need to go to X amount of different websites and advertise that they're doing Reborn. They need to do it with the game, because that's where every Reborn player is. And it's my job as a publisher to advertise outside of the game to make sure we get more players. And if the websites are kind of in place, we can even put MLG and Reborn tournaments kind of co-branded if there's a big event that we want to promote.
Well, going on with that though, James, do you see that as a problem in itself, that developers can just come in and their game can be pure shit, World of Tanks, and they can pay a lot of money to put it in front of people and call it an esport?
It's a problem to the integrity to the elitist esportsmen that we are.
And we all are. We're all elitist.
Apart from fucking Paul. Paul's commentated a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was either an esports snob or an esports elitist. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Thanks for that one, James, by the way. I actually enjoyed that, bizarrely. I didn't think I was going to, but I did. No, do you know what? I said this a little while ago. In fact, it's been one of those quotes of the year from last year, and the quote is this: "It doesn't matter that casual gamers are not competitive." Do you know what I mean? Just because they're casual gamers doesn't mean that they aren't competitive. They are. They can be. So I don't care whether it's World of Tanks, whether it's War of the Roses, whether it's anything that's got a competition mode in it and it's geared towards esports, i.e. red versus blue, 1 versus 1, 5 versus 5, 10v10, whatever it is, using tanks, sharks, fishing rods. I don't care. I'll commentate on it, and it'll be an esport, and that's fine.
No, and I understand that. What my problem is that when we were doing this years ago, developers didn't come to GGL. Like when we were at GGL, they didn't come to GGL and say, "Hey, we're going to pay you a bunch of money, to run our event." We found the games. MLG reached out. I mean, obviously they did work a lot with, was it Bungie or whatever, with Halo 4, but with Halo at the time, but it was really about the game itself. If it was a good enough game and a lot of people played it, it was put on the circuit. And now it just seems that if I'm going to make a game and I'm going to make a little tablet game and I'm going to give MLG $50 million to put it on their circuit, hey, yay for MLG. That's great for them, and that's great for the developer. But it kind of waters down what some of us have seen over the years is what esports is, and that's really the competition of it.
Yeah. It's because we this is how I see the problem as well. Okay, so I completely agree with Paul. Anything with a competitive mode can be an esport. And when I spoke to Paradox Entertainment about War of the Roses, I said, look, you probably won't be an esport as like you'll go to these events to have major tournaments, but if you build some like core tools in your game that allow people to arrange matches with other people and have a ladder system, you can have your own community, which is an esport community, and maybe you can organize a big event for them once a year, and that can be enough. So I don't agree that I agree that like as Paul said, anything competitive can be an esport, but the problem that from a business side of thing, esports has always been quite weak on a business side. So when someone comes with money, there's not many people that want to say no. It's only people that are in the situation where they can say no, might do it. But if you're MLG and you've got X amount of investment, if you're IEM, and IEM go to the most expensive venues in esports. Like IEM have to pay the most to be at places. It's not that Intel Extreme Masters brand. I know it's like not looked on as as entertaining and sometimes as some of the other stuff. But the fact is they're taking that to like the biggest conventions at CeBIT and Singapore. So they've got a big bill to pay, and so these people, in a way, they don't necessarily have, in my opinion, a choice from the business side of things. What's weird to me, and what I don't like, and this is why I'm an elitist, it's basically saying, because we don't have a governing body of what is like an esport, it's pretty much like if we were extreme sports, or we were and we said, okay, we're extreme sports. We've got skateboarding, we've got BMX, we've got snowboarding, we've got these, and this is what we're used to, and that's recognized as a governing body that's like these are involved in the extreme sports, and then someone comes along with a new sport which is
competitive walking.
Yeah, rolling around on the floor, acting as dumb as you can, right?
I've done that.
And then say, yeah, I'll be fucking great at this. And then say, and here, but we'd like to join extreme sports. Here's fucking ton of money. And then all of a sudden in extreme sports, you've got, all these, and then you've got people rolling around on the floor. And then you're like, well,
I don't think that's right though, Jay. I think that's not comparing the right thing. When we're talking about comparing it. No, it isn't. That's comparing people rolling around on the floor with what is obviously an extreme sport. What we're comparing is a video game with a video game. You're comparing apples and
rolling around on the
floor. That's what you're rolling around on the floor, by the way, which is also known as breakdancing.
Oh my god!
With spikes on.
Oh my god!
No. I'm saying rolling around on the floor is as skillful as you need to be at League of Legends as a comparison. Being
that's what I was just about to say.
BMX champion and snowboard champion to as skillful.
Okay, where's the troll bell?
It's not a troll. I'm just saying.
No, outside of that, outside of that scenario that he just mentioned, I know where he's going with it. The whole idea of you're just able to just add a game.
You can buy your way.
And I know you did too.
I hear you, but I don't agree with that.
You bought your way into the top of esports. You bought your way into the access to all the marketing tools that esports has built up over its time, and there was no question. There was no question if your game.
But if it has any staying power,
that's what I'm saying. Esports needed money. That's why it happened.
Mm-hmm. Esports being bitter and twisted about it because it should have happened 7 or 10 years ago when we were playing.
I wouldn't change.
But 17 years ago, the developers didn't see esports for what it was.
So they didn't 5 years ago, 3 years ago, even.
Right.
I mean, but you're assuming that the rolling around and whatever that sport is that you're talking about is just, it's not popular. It's not garbage. It's just like, not anybody's playing it. You're just forcing it down people's throats. I mean,
but you're not, are you?
Yeah, I know. In that model, the cream. I mean, they'll sustain themselves there. I mean, it's just like the mobile business. Here's the mobile business.
Who's sustaining themselves here?
No, I'm just saying like the game. Like you buy your way in, you buy your way into this X game. Let's just call it X Games or X Games, whatever you want to call it. And now you're in this Olympics of X game or X sports now, right?
Yeah, but the worst thing about buying your way in is then telling the people that were already there or wanted to be there and could have the right to be there off the skill of their game that they can't come anymore.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's where it's different. That's why it's not like that example that you're giving, because I mean you're calling this X Games kind of like esports in general, when it's not, because we're not an organization or association or anything right now. We're just like a collection of just.
But I still believe that fundamentally, even if you buy your way in, if your game is horrible, then you'll buy your way in, you'll spend a bucket load of dollars, and you'll get fuck all out of it, and your game will die and no one will play it. So bottom line is, games still got to be popular, and whether you like League of Legends or not, it is popular and people like playing it. So that's it. Same with World of Tanks. World of Tanks has
dude,
60, 70,000 people playing it online at any one point of the day.
Right.
But just because you and I don't necessarily play it or don't understand it or don't understand the skill involved doesn't make it a skillless game, doesn't mean that the people behind it shouldn't put money into it. If they want to put money into it to promote it and it's a good game and people will sign up for it, then they're doing their job. No different to Slasher trying to find news.
Yeah, no, they're there, and for the majority of them being there, I think it's good, but I wish that they would do it cooler, because I don't like people that I think are twats.
Here it comes. That's now we're breaking it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, and are they really promoting esports?
Well,
not really. They're promoting themselves.
Well, okay, so this is a good example,
everyone's
though.
promoting themselves, though. No one's out there
promote
going, you know what, we're Blizzard.
Yeah,
why you too, buddy, you too. But
why is
the
Call of
bottom line
Duty
is
down my strip club saying, I know ReDeYe. I heard I can get this.
Guys,
because I check in the hotels as James Harding.
Yeah. Well, the kind of hotels I check into, you don't have to give a name, and they rent the room per hour.
Yeah.
Right.
So, guys, this brings up a good point, though. I mean, explain what's going on with Call of Duty, then, because more people play that game than any of the games that we just mentioned. And yet, we don't see it on the circuit because the developers are not willing to pay their way in. But it used to be that if it was a good game and a lot of people were playing it, when MLG started, it was just little LAN events. They just started, hey, we've got a lot of people playing Call of Duty and Halo, and got a lot of people playing this game. Let's get them all together and have a little tournament. And that's really, and we've progressed, obviously. But now it just seems to come to a point where it's not about that anymore. It's not about whether the game is good. It's not about the community size. It's all about the money. And listen, I love that we have more money in the industry. I understand that.
I agree with you, John.
But where's Call of Duty going? I mean, there's more people playing that game right now.
Yeah, but the funny thing is about where we're at now is why would then organizers try and work with Call of Duty without publisher help, even though it's a huge game, to create a circuit and something esporty on a large level, when they get given it on a plate by Riot? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's something that is now become cost inefficient, because a lot of the times, not even a long time ago, the wages weren't as high in esports. A lot of volunteers, and those people that have stuck around for 2 years, the organizers are like, yeah, we're going to start paying you better. And it's hard to say, let's go point at this game, which is obviously, maybe a very good game, huge community, and do something with that without any developer help, with all our finances. And then we can also walk into the problems where that developer says, actually, no, you can't broadcast our game, or you can't run tournaments for our game, and, oh, you're making money off our IP? Yeah, speak to our lawyers. We're going to want a cut of that, which is a problem. And, people have seen that in many ways with Capcom, just how difficult that was to get a relationship started. But Capcom also now have actually come into esports more and got more involved. They've employed people. And actually, the potential chance of that happening could be many factors. One of them actually could be Riot. One of them could be Riot. One of them could be they've seen what other people are doing and they want to follow the trend. One of them could just be the success of the broadcasting behind Evo. And stuff. So, and Twitch TV. So, I can understand why it's really hard, which is why when I try and build projects, I always try and build projects that are financially viable from the get-go, and I can work with whatever game I want. Because I worked with BLC, and it was very small. The only problem I can't work with BLC now is because I probably can't get 8 teams together.
Right.
Should do a historic painkiller tournament. You'd get 17.
Yeah, well, me, Fox and Faz played Painkiller HD, and it's worse than the one they had before.
Yeah, absolutely.
HD didn't mean like high definition. I think it was hell and damnation.
Yeah, you thought it meant high definition, didn't you?
Yeah, they changed some of the physics. They changed how the weapons work, and the netcode was actually worse.
Yeah, worse than it was before, and it wasn't great to start with.
Well, and that goes back to what Paul said, and it makes a good point. And I do agree with what you were saying earlier, Paul, that it's their business to put the game out there, and if they're going to pay their way in, that's fine. And that's exactly what Painkiller did. What was it, 6 years ago now? 5 years ago? Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. And the game itself was not ready to be an esport outside of paying to get onto the circuit, and guess what? It went away. Nobody played it anymore.
Well, you need to get a really good balance between your game in terms of how competitive it is and then what the general kind of and how big it is in the mainstream. Once you hit the right balance.
Do you not think, though, James, that the reason that we don't have a 1v1 or even a 5v5 FPS right now, like Quake, like Unreal Tournament, like Painkiller, I mean, dare I say it, they were enjoyable games to watch. Is it not just because we're all dinosaurs that played those kind of games, and these days we haven't got the same people coming through? And maybe the community can never be as big as a League of Legends or even a Dota 2 or even a CSGO.
Yeah, obviously I've had to look into this quite a lot because with Reborn, it's like I'm making a 1v1 FPS game essentially for esports. It has other mods, but essentially I have to look at I can't rely on the 30-year-olds who used to play Quake to buy it. It's the newer audience. But within esports, what I believe esports is outside of people playing games, it's people playing entertaining games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now, Quake, you don't necessarily need a huge amount of player base, but if it goes to a stage and people understand the concept of the game and the skill involved and the excitement, that's good for esports, right? Because it might be a smaller community, but the fact is when it gets where it needs to be for its kind of, TV appearance or its big tournament appearance, people are interested. And then the sportsmanship comes through and the storylines and then the involvement of it. So that's great. And then like League of Legends, that kind of looks like a bunch of gummy bears running around a giant fruit bowl. And it's not that great to watch, so, and like Dota 2, even Dota 2, like Dota 2 isn't as good to watch as like FPS games in my opinion, but if you really get in there and you understand what's going on, it is, but like I can tell like it's infinitely more skillful and there's a lot more action involved because the way the game's designed, and it's designed to actually, have these much more combat into it, and they change clever things like the amount of gold you're going to get from assists. So, the supports are much more aggressive in terms of looking for kills because that creates more action. So there's a lot of thought behind it in terms of what it should be at the end. But yeah, no, it's I don't think an FPS game will ever be as big in esports as a MOBA game, and I hate the name MOBA because someone made it up, which is basically a team RTS game.
Yeah, Team RTS. Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that big. It doesn't have to be as big as League of Legends to have its place in esports. It needs the personalities, the entertainment, the action, and the excitement, and other people from other esport games and other games to enjoy watching it. Like, how many people, if you didn't play League of Legends, could enjoy watching League of Legends? Like, honestly.
Well, I did.
No,
I don't.
I agree. I agree with that.
I played it.
ReDeYe,
I respect it,
just
but
like
I don't.
colors.
But StarCraft 2 players like watching Quake live. I mean, they love a lot of StarCraft 2 players like watching.
And the other way around, actually. I mean, a lot of Quake guys got into StarCraft.
Those two seem to get along a lot better than any other games.
It's similar.
So I'd be interested to know
one guy.
If ID Software said we're going to pump $20 million into tournaments over the next 2 years, if they got off their ass and said we're actually going to put money into esports, even though we created esports in a sense, now we're actually going to put money into it. What do you think would happen? I mean, because we're getting.
Well, the thing is, with Quake, I don't think Quake actually, Quake, if it was...
It already
if it
had
was
its chance, didn't it?
Yeah,
if it was going to work, it would have worked with Quake Live.
Right, yeah, it's
if
true.
Quake came with like $20 million, it would be featured at the DreamHack and at the StarCraft tournaments and at the MLGs, and people would watch it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a
People
guarantee.
would sign up for
Now,
it.
but the thing is, the smartest thing you can do if you're going to make a game and put it in esports is make it free to play, because you remove the paywall. Someone's watching it and going, "What's that? That's cool. Oh, that's Quake. How much
and I
it
can
cost?"
play it right now.
Yeah, I can play it when I get home. Yeah, and so I don't think with Quake though. The problem for me with Quake is it's just got a little bit stale.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad to say, but like the Quake Live did change from like Quake 4 and obviously Quake 3, and some of the subtle changes made Quake Live a much more, maybe too much of a chess game, as opposed to sometimes a lot more action than you would see. So I think actually the game is slightly lesser than it needs to be, and also I wouldn't want them to put $20 million into it. I want them to build fucking features like in-game tournament systems.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the thing I would love in like a FPS community is like, let's say for example, we're a community of FPS gamers, yeah, and you've got servers all around the world because you have to play on a server. So you've got your Netherlands server, your England server, and your Swedish server. I would want to not only be able to have a user interface that's 2D, I would want to be able to join that server and it to be like a city or a hub, similar to like Ogrimer, but in terms of a Quake Live city.
Okay.
And when I'm in that city, I'm in the Swedish city, and there's other Swedish gamers walking around with their own like skins and stuff. I can look up at the wall, like a giant wall, and I could see who's the top, who's the best player of the week.
Can I stop
So
you there, Jay?
You want Second Life.
So you're talking about Firefall.
Well, Firefall did
Is
something
Firefall
like that
No,
once.
it does. It has a lot of that in it already.
Oh.
Yeah,
But
it does.
Okay.
the thing is Firefall has like that, but then it doesn't have other things like a system where like, imagine in Ogrimer, and I told Blizzard this, I said, look, you've got like a board, right? And you go click the board, and you can either list yourself to be you want to join a clan, or you can list yourself as a clan wanting to recruit people. And it's all automated. You can't write anything. You just put, I am a mage, here is my... And you can make it private so other clan members, your clan member can't see. And you build this community. And then you could also even... You can actually put in Google Chrome into C++ games, etc. So you could even have streams in the city of tournaments, or you can have a list of games going on right now on the Swedish servers, and you could click them and join them, or you could walk up to somebody and you could challenge them to a duel with rules, and it would spawn a server. So the thing
Firefall has that stuff.
Yeah, but
it doesn't have all
Firefall
of
is
that,
not.
but it's-
Firefall's actually quite fun, but it's not going to be good enough to be what it needs to be for esports to accept it. And I
It's
don't
good
think
that they're doing those things,
they're
though,
putting $1
because
million
people will start to
into
see
it
that.
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
they're
thing
putting
is-
$1 million in it.
Yeah, but the problem is Firefall was built by, like, this is my problem with mainstream gamers, right? And this is why I want to make a game. They want to make a game, right? And esports is hot shit, so we're gonna make a game. Going to be esports section to it. That's fucking great. It's a fucking great idea. Esports is huge. I've heard of StarCraft too. It's great. All right, yeah, great. What do we need to do to get into esports? Well, basically, you just need to be able to kill the other dude, and then, kind of, there's a winner at the end of the round. Fucking brilliant, Dave. You've got the job. You're our new esport designer. Thanks. I was just walking through. I was cleaning the toilets, but great esports. And then they got the people involved doing it, and then they don't really know what to do. And then the game designers are mainly focused on what the casual gamers want, like how much XP you're going to get per kill, what your skill system's going to be, and they don't have the experience to break down what will make a fantastic esport game in terms of movement, weapons, map design, and all the others. And so
But
they
you're
weren't
saying
succeed.
that, and you played World of Warcraft competitively, right?
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay. And the guy that wrote World of Warcraft competitive was Mark Kern. And Mark Kern runs Red 5 Studios, which built Firefall.
Yeah,
Go
but the
fuck
problem
yourself,
is that's
James.
that's an FPS game, and
Doesn't
World of
matter.
Warcraft.
He knows what goes into an esports game. You can't sit there
No,
and
he
say
doesn't.
he doesn't know how to build an esports game. He
I've
does.
listened to him talk, and I was happy that he said rocket jumping was really important because when we saw Fresh do it back in the day, we were like, "Whoa, this Fresh guy's rocket jumped." And then I was like, "Yeah, these guys they talk so good. They've got the right idea because you don't really want just a kind of flat FPS game these days. You want to challenge people. 3D chess, yeah, fuck it, let's go 3D chess." And then I went and played his game, and I was like, yeah, good at talking. But you know,
bottom line is, he's a good guy. He made a great game at Blizzard, and he now runs a studio that's building something online. So give the thing a chance, just for a change. Do me a favor. Do me a real favor, right? Don't diss Firefall for 12 months. See if you can do that for me as a favor.
12
you can diss LOL, you can do anything you like.
That's a
Just
long time,
give Firefall 12 months and see what he's in 12. I don't know where it's going to be. I'm just saying, give it a chance.
I played a
Not
lot
another
of
negative word out of your mouth, Mr. Harding.
I've played a lot of Firefall. I like Firefall as a game. I think it's
right.
fun.
That's it. End there. After the words, I enjoyed Firefall. That's it. The full stop ends, and we move on to another subject.
But I can break down their combat system, and I can break down their map design, how the game's going to play out, how it's going to look competitively, and how it won't succeed on a main level within esports. But I also think they've done a lot of great things right. Like they've got that instant replay. So they're not going to succeed. They're not going to succeed.
Just give it a chance. 12 months, not a negative word coming out of your mouth against Firefall for 12 months.
What if? Do you think they're going to succeed?
I don't know. That's the point. Let's give them a chance.
But you don't. Are you just saying you don't know because you actually don't know? Or...
No. I'm kind of on the fence with it, so much so that I've got splinters in my ass. But the point is that I know a lot of people involved in it, not just Mark Kern, but a number of other people that are esports related as well, who are all working on the project, and I think they might be okay, but I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but what I am prepared to do is give them the benefit of the doubt, give them a chance, carry on playing the game, seeing where this $1 million happens and how it works, and see what we've got in 12 months from now. And who knows, we might have a decent FPS on our hands. I hope, because we need one. And if you bring out Reborn,
if they're going to put $1 million into prize money, obviously it's going to work because it's going to work because people are going to play for $1 million. Fuck it, I'll join a team.
Right?
Because then I can fund Reborn.
Right now, 2v2.
But
again,
be the creator and the e-athlete or the actual player too. Be the maker and the athlete.
Yeah. But I like
to do a comeback.
Nah, like I've lost my faith in mainstream developers, man. Like I've lost my faith in Blizzard as well. Like so many times I look at like what Battle.net is, and like everyone's like Battle.net's amazing. I was like, Battle.net's not amazing. It's shit. It's only amazing because it connects a lot of people. But the internet does that too. But but Battle.net doesn't have so many things that it could help grow the community. Like why don't we have tournaments specifically for bronze players and silver players, and then these tournaments, when they actually happen, they announce the winner, and then if you win 3 tournaments you automatically get promoted instead of having to climb the ladder, and then when you get up to your masters tournaments and you start winning them, you actually start getting listed, and then Fnatic.
Seriously, I don't disagree with you on all of that stuff, but I would actually quite like in an FPS the chance to level up. I mean, it just doesn't happen. I mean, CSGO has just introduced leveling, but I have no idea how it works because they haven't explained it. And I'm some sort of supreme, I don't know, gunner commander or something, which is level 15. But there's only 17 levels. Why is there 17 levels? How did I get to 15 in the first place? I have no idea. These questions are, well, the answer must be 42 because it's the only answer I can think of.
You enjoyed leveling. Did you enjoy leveling? You enjoyed leveling up.
I don't necessarily enjoy it, but what I enjoy is being able to be skill matched against other players that are roughly around the same sort of skill level, unless they're smurfing, of course, which they are. But I haven't had that in first-person shooters before. So what I'm saying is that like in League of Legends, like in Dota, there's matchmaking, but there's no leveling up, and I quite like the idea of if I want to do that, then I can.
You need to play offensive combat then. That's got plenty of leveling up.
Yeah, I still haven't been able to play that. I've just got so to play.
And I can tell you that they're going to do exactly what we're talking about, and that's put money in putting on the esports circuit.
Yeah, I'd like a game. I'd like a game with pets.
All right, what about this then? Here's a question for all of you.
Pets. I've played FPS games, but I haven't played one with pets.
You can shoot pets in Duke Nukem.
I'm just thinking of things. So we've got leveling up
for women money and showing the movies. That's awesome. Anyway, just a question for all 3 of you, right? James Harding's first exposure to esports was actually in 1997, working for 3D Realms. because his sole input to Duke Nukem 3D was in the strip club. If you offer the women money, they reveal their tits. I'm pretty sure that came from James Harding. You heard it here first. So the question is this, okay?
I was 5. That's disgusting.
Do you think? Do you think that actually the success of an FPS is based on the fact that actually all these free-to-play games, which James rightly pointed out, is pretty much the most successful way of launching an esports title these days? Do you not think the likes of Call of Duty and Quake and Counter-Strike and all the rest of it will be better off building a single-player game, marketing out into the street and onto Steam and all the rest of it, but then releasing the multiplayer as the free-to-play?
Yes, multiplayer as free-to-play is fucking brilliant, and they should have done it in
I think
StarCraft
it
2.
too. Yeah, me too.
We're all very smart. Well done, ReDeYe. I agree with him. Anybody else want to get on this? Chanman's in. You're smart too. John, you want to get in?
Count
You're
me
in.
in.
So,
Fuck yeah, 4 for 4.
So one comment I want to make. We've been talking about developers here now for like the last 20 minutes. So is the age of the tournament organizers having any influence on what games are going to be, big esports in the future just gone now?
No, I think actually it's the community that end up deciding the most.
It should be.
Tournament organizers, like if you're a tournament organizer, you're no different, as a business where you concentrate on who's your customer, what's your customer, what do your customer want, and so like the community is always for me being what I've decided what's an esport and what isn't, and yeah.
But aren't the tournaments the platform on which we the community gets to even try?
I would say the real community is well below the big tournaments. It's all within the little tournaments, within the online tournaments. Okay, some guy puts on a forum and says, "Let's do a tournament this weekend." For me, and I don't know if where James at, but I love the idea of these big events. But I still think we're just going to keep going down this road where we're regurgitating game after game after game, because we haven't created any, and I say it a million times, I've said it on the show at least 39 times since it's the 39th show, that we need to build some sort of structure from the bottom up. And that goes with the developers thinking that way too.
Yep.
Do you know that's the one thing, John, that I liked about CGS above all else was the fact that,
apart from the money.
No. Actually, the money wasn't that great.
Fuck off, was it? Great. I bet it was.
It was good, but it wasn't that great.
I got paid like $1,000 because you made me come into Sky offices and fuck up a few lines.
Yeah, I did.
He told me basically when we're doing a live
show. I negotiated his fee for that. That was his
my
first
agent,
TV as well.
We were doing a live show, right? And Dave Berry's there. He's kind of cool, and Emma Griffiths, and she was. Dave Berry laughed at my joke, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm awesome." But carry on with the story. And ReDeYe was there. He's like, "As your agent, I can't really advise you this, but if you fuck up your lines for live TV on the live show, then make you come back to the studio, and you can get like 350 quid a day." So basically, what me and ReDeYe did at CGS, we just fucked everything up. Like we were calling everyone wrong names. We were talking about cars in fighting games. We rinsed them, didn't we? Like we made about 10 grand each just from having to re-record our lines, because we all knew. Like ReDeYe said to me on the sly, he was like, "They go under. They're paying me way too much. Like they won't last a year, so let's take them for everything they got." And he's been my agent ever since, and we've kind of had that philosophy.
Story, bro.
Who's going down next, ReDeYe?
True story, bro.
ESL, right?
I'm moving to ESL next week.
Yeah, so they've got about 2 weeks left, right?
Screw you.
He's on a rampage.
Anyway, no. I'm on an esports rampage. Right. So the thing is, right, the CGS thing, what it did, right, if we think about it, and I'm not saying it's the whole of esports or it was the circular of esports or whatever, but one of the good things I thought might have worked out of it was the problem that we've had of longevity. So if you think about esports as beginning in 1995 with Deathmatch 95, which was pretty much the first major tournament of esports anywhere that offered money in a tournament, and Thresh won, by the way. It's 18 years ago, okay? So esports is 18 years old. That's how I'm going to determine it. Since that time, we've gone through probably more than 100 games that we've called an esport at some point. Some have lasted a few months, some have lasted 12, 13 years in the case of Brood War and Counter-Strike, but eventually they'll die. And when they die, websites like Gotfrag, for example, die with them. And all of the information and the stories and the history and the results all dies with it. And it's gone forever. And in 20 years from now, nobody will be talking about that fraud shot or the shot that Warden made or the 5-man that Heaton got on this particular map. Aztec as it was. Nobody would be talking about that except for me in my old chair, rocking backwards and forwards or something, and not really talking to anyone. And I think that's quite sad in a way that we won't have any history. And the only way of creating that history is to have something that lasts forever, like football. So the football game has altered as it's gone along, but it's still fundamentally football as it was in 1862 when Notts County were formed, and we've got 150 years worth of history there, and that's partly what buys you in as a commentator, as a spectator, as a fan. All that history is part of the, my team have never won the FA Cup, so I want them to win the FA Cup. That's history in the making if they do that. We've got nothing like that other than a few years of one game. So the CGS, what it introduced that I liked was the point system, where you could effectively have the same point system forever, but you would just bolt in games that came and went and that were popular with the communities, and you'd have a system that would last 50, 100, 200 years. And that's arguable, but it's one way of saying the sport is actually the point system, not the games being played.
Any chance there'll ever be an open source game that ends up being the sport? Because the one thing about football is that it's not owned by anybody.
No,
right?
it's not.
So it just kind of just evolves itself.
Latter would have you tell you something different.
I actually think you're really that's actually really smart in a way, because what you actually have, then you have your franchises and you have your point system, and then the games can change, but you can still follow the storyline. But for me,
what you get your stories are, well, Los Angeles played San Francisco and they've played 160 times, and this old DOA for him 10 years ago, he's a legend, he's going to come back this year and he's going to manage the team or whatever. You get those crazy cool stories.
The thing is from my opinion on esports and how I look at like the continuity of the storyline in the games, is I feel it's based around on the genres. So I think you've got, in esports, you've got 5 core pillars, all right? You've got your 1v1 FPS. It can be Unreal Tournament, it could be Quake, it could be whatever it is in the season, but it continues that 1v1 FPS. You've got your team FPS, which is, to me, it's always kind of been Counter-Strike is the main game. And then you've got your 1v1 RTS, which has been StarCraft, Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2. Because they've carried the story on. You've still got Grubby going from, the stories there. And then you've got your Team RTS, which is the newly introduced one. And outside of that, I don't think that there's anything else you can really event. And obviously the 5th one is Pokemon.
Of course.
I knew it was coming.
Well, it's fighters, right? It's fighters.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think you only need 4 titles, like 4 big titles, to take that esport franchise with those 4 titles forward. And I think those 4 titles should be kind of the most skillful and the most entertaining. And that's why I want to support, Dota 2, Quake, StarCraft 2. I can't remember where I'm going with this. What's the last? Where am I? Oh, yeah, fighting games are there as well. Fighting games. Sorry, that's what I meant. I didn't mean Pokemon. I just made that up. Fighting games. Fighting games are kind of like Pokemon, though, because you choose your characters, don't they? Yeah, it's very colourful. You'd like it, ReDeYe.
Very colourful.
Very colourful.
Dude, I can comment out washing up. I don't give a fuck.
But we haven't seen games kind of innovate past those things. The biggest innovation has been the Team RTS, the MOBA, right? We haven't seen that kind of change. Like, we all played Street Fighter on, the NES or SNES, wherever we started with it. We've all, played RTS games like Command & Conquer, and they've gone on for so long that they're very recognizable to any audience coming in and watching them. So Team RTS, the Dota clones, they're the newest ones to educate people on, and they do have the biggest following. But I think the storyline stems across those. And I would really be happy if we kind of put one of each at the top and said, this is.
So in other words, you see the format as being more like athletics than football or tennis or something like that.
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. I think 40 minutes on a subject is pretty good. Why don't we move on to whatever news you can give us on the good studios for 2013, James?
All right, okay, so I'll do it quickly so you don't have to... All right, basically in 2012, we were very drunk a lot. I'm not going to lie. We hit it pretty well, but we were... Basically, I was fucking around in 2012, and basically I was having a lot of fun, and there was lots of... I surrounded myself with lots of beautiful men. That's how I enjoy spending my time.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, what are you doing with clothes on? Seriously. What's the?
Ooh, what is that? It's like cut the cheese. What the hell is that?
What am I paying for? And so 2012 was a lot of tests. It was just test run. It was like, what can we do? What's fun? You know. And I always wanted to make stuff entertaining. So 2013, basically, we're actually hoping to kick a lot of arse. Arse, not ass. And so we're going to up the good show. You know, which is our kind of premiere show. We're going to have 8 people on the show live in a larger studio.
Okay.
We're going to do more tournaments, online and offline. We're going to introduce more stuff, as in more different shows around like what personalities are working with us. And basically, yeah, we're going to try a lot harder to see if we can raise more money for esports in terms of prize money, raise more awareness for the games, and just generally do a better job. Because originally when I did it as a project, I was like, you know, it will make basic amount of money. It will cover itself. And, you know, I don't mind losing money on it. But because there's a lot of people connected to the brand, the good studio now, it's very important that I don't just kind of live off either a brand name or fucking around and actually make these people the best living I can make them. Because my goals within esports above anything else is getting people on a full-time salary, because that is one of the hardest things to do and sustain it. Because sure, I could pay someone for a year 20, 30 grand, but can I do it the next year without having to go bankrupt? So we did our first year. I paid people. I got them gigs. You know, we got them events as well. I acted as their manager, and I didn't go bankrupt. Paid my taxes, and we're going into next year, and we got more people that we want to help, and very deserving people like Adabisi, Draskell, and we got another person coming over to the good studio, and we're also helping a team under the agency get full-time salary to play a game, and so there's a lot of interconnectivity within all our projects, but the point is now is we're taking ourselves a little bit more seriously. And
any players?
Huh?
Any players?
Yep. We have 6 players under the agency. Okay. 5 of these players will be on a salary and be full-time in esports probably by February. And those 5 players will be able to be players within esports, and they will be. And the cool thing about an agency and me, because I'm cool, I don't really want to own people's like brands and businesses, because I don't see the value of owning something like Fnatic. I'm like, if I owned Fnatic, I'd be like, yeah, great. But you know, Fnatic, if you want to buy it, you know, you probably can, 1 to 2 million. But what it creates on a monthly basis, right? Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a point where you're going to cash in. So when I work with someone for the agency. I do a 10% where I take 10%, and I don't necessarily take 10% of everything. I might take 10% of the deals or 10% of the prize money or whatever. And then I make sure I get you the deals, put in the management structure, make sure that you've got, you know, something going on to achieve your goals. And actually core players or people within that, you know, there will be like the 90% is the rest of them. And between themselves, with my help, they can decide where they spend their money. Yep. So if they don't want to go to this event, you know, they don't have to. If they want to go to this event, they can. And then when they actually come around to spending the money, because there's obviously a budget that I've secured for them through sponsors, then it will be interesting to see, because they'll be like, well, we're going to go to this event. We could go to this hotel with this much money, or we could go to a cheaper hotel. And they'll probably go to the cheaper hotel, but the benefit they get is they collect a lot more of the reward if they're successful. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting to me to actually put players in power and put commentators in power of their careers, and actually just assist them to see if I can get them A, on a full-time salary, B, to achieve their goals within the team that we have here at the studio. And 6 players, and we're signing 3 additional commentators to the agency that are outside of the studio itself, and we'll be helping them with their projects and trying to get them on a full-time salary.
So when it comes to expenses like travel and stuff, you guys pay for that, or they pay for that?
No, we've secured sponsors for them already.
Okay, sponsors, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but the sponsorship, like basically the sponsorship initially pays for them for the year, and then they have option. They can make more money, but they're going to have to stream more. They're going to have to promote themselves more. They're going to have to sell T-shirts. They're going to have to sell mouse pads. But it's a direct correlation to their money that they earn. So the thing is, the players are the ones that are in control of the profits, but also at the risks. But the fact is, it's like if you join a team, you get a very stable life because you join a team, you're like, yo, I'm in a team. They give me money, they send me places, fucking awesome. And then what happens is like they're like, oh yeah, this player is fucking awesome. And then the team will sell a massive sponsor, and then the player will see a very small fraction within the agency. When if I can sell someone a massive sponsor, that is the player minus a 10%, and or a team, and they can decide what they want to do with it.
John, sound familiar?
Yeah, it sounds real familiar.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So, which Dota team are you pulling in?
Oh God.
Huh?
Good question.
Which Dota team? Well, it's pretty
Good
obvious
question.
I'm going to be working with Sing Sing, isn't it? Because he's been at my house for ages. So Sing Sing will be announcing a Dota 2 team with some people, and they're going to be getting ready for the year and getting ready for the international.
So that's 5.
Yeah, and a StarCraft personality that wants some help.
All right.
And the thing about the agency is the agency doesn't necessarily have to just work with private sponsors. The agency can help people actually get into teams. So there might be a case where a StarCraft player is like, I just need a team. And I'm like, well, let me help you with information on you. Let's talk about the things that you're willing to do. Let's talk about what you want to get paid. What you want to do on a yearly basis, event-wise and tournament-wise. And I'll see if I can introduce you. And the great thing is about the agency, when I introduce them to a team, I actually take 0%. Like the team, the deal between the team and the player is completely theirs. What I'm actually doing is more of a union thing in that case, with helping them get into a team, looking after the contract to make sure the player's happy and the team are happy. And if the team fuck over the player, then I can fuck over the team. And if the player fuck over the team, then I can fuck the player and say, you fucking can't do that, because if you do that, I won't put you in any other team again. You better fucking fix that problem.
That's all great, though. But how are you going to manage Semler?
Am I gonna, dudes? I don't know. I gotta kill him off.
Yeah, this all sounds very familiar.
Why not? But why not charge like a mini referral fee there for the team?
Huh?
Why not charge? Why not take something there?
Because the thing is like within the companies that I run, it's a very small percent that goes towards the sustainability of the companies. Okay, so there's a lot more to be made off my own work and the people that I directly employ rather than the people I help. If I want to try and make as much money off the people I help, then they probably won't want my help. And the fact is, it's like for me to be able to help them is beneficial in a lot of ways for esports, because it kind of groups players up to have a better thinking of how to enter contracts. Like that whole Madalis thing. She didn't even have a contract apparently with Absolute Legends. And then you've got the Absolute Legends side. But if Madalis was under my agency, I would have been like, right, you're joining, and these are the terms. Do you want to join? Yes, no, okay. Sign here. Now you're in the team. Any problems, come back and talk to me. And if AL went paying, I'd be like, hi, AL, you seem to be late on your payments for Madalist. Here's my lawyer, and you might want to pay up pretty soon, because otherwise I can make a pretty big noise. But also there's the ability that maybe they're having problems and they need extra time, and then I could maybe subsidize that player until until they paid me. So there's benefits like that.
That sounds pretty awesome, man.
It's like he's like a madam for esports.
If he only likes
he's running a brothel, a gaming brothel.
Yeah, it's a gaming brothel.
Yeah, but
too good gaming brothel. I love it.
Yeah, we've done great
so
things.
If I come to the brothel, what do I get out of it? If I just come by to visit, if I'm just in your neighborhood
you get Semler for a night.
No, would you like some?
Not in person.
Well, maybe you'd like to meet him in person in the dark. And,
okay.
In the dark, I have to say, when the lights are off, he does look a lot like Johnny Depp in the dark.
Okay. Well, I'm a married man.
Is getting a haircut on your 2013 radar at all? Or?
Who, me? Yeah, at some point. I'm getting multiple.
You should pop back to England. That's what I'm going to do.
And apparently, we've got a New Year's resolution show coming up on the Good Show. And if I fail my New Year's resolutions over the year, I've got to get my ball sack lasered. So that counts as a haircut as well.
Lasered.
Oh man!
Apparently, you can get your ball sack lasered, where they laser the hairs off your sack so they don't grow again. But I think the community will give me the nickname Laserballs. But I actually think that's a fucking cool nickname, James
Laserballs Harding.
But I don't think
bald
it's
laser ball.
Chris, do you think we should try something like that on this show, or no? Is that
laser
not us?
balls?
Who can?
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
so,
So football's got
That just
golden
sounds too
balls,
painful
and
for
we've
me,
got
man.
laser balls.
laser
Brilliant.
balls.
Laser
yeah,
balls.
so that kind of counts as a haircut.
All right, here we go. Time
you
to
had
take
that-
calls, people.
Oh, this ought to be great.
Start calling me on Skype. My Skype ID is ChanmanV. Here we go. We'll see.
You're such a brave man.
I am a brave
Just
man,
like
but come on,
those-
we gotta get some.
We have callers.
Yeah, we
what
do,
would
we
this
have calling.
What would this show be with no trolls? I mean, right? I mean, okay,
Oh,
let me
yeah.
turn off this guy let me turn you off first of all because he's gonna jump in here. Oh shit! I screwed that up.
Oh, yeah. Pretty bad.
Hold on. Oops. Oh. Hey. Oops.
Oh.
What happened
That
there?
was my bad. That was my. Oh my god.
What,
Noob,
what
noob
the
move.
hell?
Noob move by me. Noob move.
I got a question
What?
from chat, by the way. Can I just answer it?
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
we're going to talk to Ix. Let's talk to Ix first.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello.
Ix. Hello, Ix. Welcome
Hello
to
there.
the show. You're on Climbing the Ladder. What can we do for you here?
John Paul, restart your
Videos?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry about this,
Restart.
Ix. We're not insulting you in any way. We're just actually amateurs of what we do. So
Yes,
just
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
sort
we
out
You
are.
want me?
Well, one
wait a minute,
person
you
is.
need me to restart my video?
Yeah, just restart. Just
Turn it
stop
off?
the video
Okay.
and turn it back on. All right, pause back. Cool.
Okay. Should I go?
All right,
Yeah,
Ix, you're
go
live
for it.
on Climbing the Ladder. How can we help you?
Okay, so going back to League of Legends, Riot
boy.
doesn't look like it's gonna stop putting money into it anytime soon. So, how long do you think the game is going to last? Do you think it's gonna be as big as Brood War, or is it just gonna have a swift death sometime
Fantastic question, Ix. I'm very glad you called into today's show, and a lot of our listeners out there would, of course, be wanting to know the answer.
Fast.
So, my opinion is
fucking
I'm just
James
gonna
Wales
go to the
show.
bathroom right
Shut the fuck
now.
up. I
because-
love this. I've never done call-ins before. You're
It's like
taking
fucking
my-
James Wales show.
This
Fuck
is
up.
like the trade. This is like the beta run for the good
Shut the fuck,
studios.
guys! You're ruining the like. If I was in control of this radio show, I'd have mute buttons for all of you. All right,
Jeez, right. Too good
Right.
calling us out for ruining a
Ix.
show. That's fucking rich.
Ix, I completely
Yes.
agree with you. It doesn't look like they're going to stop putting in money. In my opinion, a good esport game lasts about 5 years. Now, I think that League of Legends puts in too much money than the return of investment that they get off that amount of money within the esport community.
Stop
And-
baiting him.
What I actually think will happen is that Riot will either continue amazingly with this game and just never stop, or Riot will come out with a second game that will inevitably suck because, you know, their first game was kind of a rip-off. And then what will happen is they go, holy shit, we've just got, so how much are we spending on esports, guys? And they're like, well, 100 million billion. And then they go, well, fuck. That's too many millions and billions. I didn't even know how big of a number that is. Can we look at how much money we're making off this esport thing with all this 100 million billion? And they go, we're
I'm
making
sorry.
£5.50.
Jay,
And they,
Jay,
oh,
I'm
fuck.
sorry, but I'm
Yeah.
calling intervention on this
You
show.
can-
It's
I
serious.
reckon-
This
I
is
reckon-
exactly the same answer you gave
Let's
earlier.
just
We've
fast
done
forward.
this.
Let's just
I'm
fast forward
loving
40
this.
That
minutes
was
right
his
now.
question.
Fast forward 40 minutes.
Intervention.
I actually
Yes.
happy with your answer.
I'm
I
yeah,
reckon-
rather happy. Yeah.
He's fucking ecstatic with his answer. I mean, if you guys answered it, you'd be like, oh, well, yeah, thanks. And you probably fuck it up. But the thing is, they're not going to stop putting money into it until someone comes in with an intervention with Riot and go, you're spending too much money. You're not getting enough out of it. And it will be a business guy. And he'll be like, I'm business. Let's look at numbers. I love numbers. And then look at the numbers and go, fuck these numbers. We're not doing this anymore. And they're out. And
Well-
then we won't see him ever again.
Wait a second.
And it-
Isn't Riot owned by some Chinese company though?
Yeah, I know. Asians are good at business technically. You'd think that. But look at this. Sing.
Asians. Oh,
What's 4 plus 4? That's 1.
oh,
Just look.
Oh, boy.
oh
That's
my
1.
That
That's not
would be great though when it comes to paying him,
So,
James.
don't believe the hype,
Oh,
Ix.
jeez.
Yeah. Sing,
All
sing.
right.
I'm gonna pay you $300 minus $200. Are you okay with that? You mean I get $50? Yes, okay.
All right, thanks for the call, bud.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
thanks for
Ix.
answering.
Regular caller, I hope, right? Okay.
Yeah, somewhat of one.
Do you guys want to do the next?
Oh
my
Is
God.
that
Oh
what's
my
happening?
God.
John,
All
you're
right.
Honestly, I'm gonna send you to Riot Therapy. That's what I'm gonna do.
Seriously, man.
I'm gonna pay for you to have
This
therapy
is-
to
this
get
is
it
gonna
out
be
of your
that-
system.
We're gonna play this intervention video like there too. Nicholas, what's up, bud? Welcome to Climbing the Ladder.
I just had a quick question for James. I was wondering when you and In Control are going to be casting or hosting another tournament again.
Oh,
Jesus.
good question. The one thing that I always try and do with a career for people within esports is make sure that you don't get too much of something extreme too often, because then it becomes fucking crazy. So the thing is, I would love to work with In Control again, and it will probably, hopefully we get to do something this year, but it might just be once. And if we get to do something, we probably can't do it under the DreamHack brand, because we'll probably be too mental for them, even for them. So we might, have to do something like Good Studio tournament-ish, and hopefully EG let him over, because there's gifs now of him masturbating and stuff. But, I don't know if they wanted that. He's not actually masturbating. He's doing the motions.
What is he doing, James?
Well, he's doing the motions to making a cocktail, maybe. I don't know if it was masturbation. Maybe it was just cocktail making motions. But either way, we had nothing's planned yet, but I would only do it once a year because it's really extreme sometimes. And if we did it any more than that, we would probably damage both our careers and esports. And we don't want that. No. Any other questions, Nicholas?
No, I just got to say you guys were fucking awesome.
Oh, Nicholas, your gift's coming, dude.
When you say...
Hey, aren't you one of the holiday winners?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Nicholas...
Never mind.
Hey, well done, dude. Oh, shit.
I'll take
No,
it, though. Shit.
never mind.
Nicholas,
Ignore
when
us.
you say you're awesome, could you just clarify, maybe just say the names of the people that you meant?
James,
Specific.
Too Good Heart.
James? Yeah. And anyone else? Okay.
Fuck, what's that one guy from EG? I forgot his name.
That one guy.
In Control.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
He's
That's
awesome,
good.
yes.
Yeah, because we are of course joined here by Paul Channeler, John Clark, and Chris Chan here on Climb the Ladder. We'll be here for another hour before we'll be moving on to the evening show with Steffi and Nicholas. Thanks for the call.
God, I'm trying not to.
By the way,
cat
Slasher-
ears here. These
Slasher
cat ears
just
aren't
joined.
working.
Thanks for getting rid of
Seriously,
it.
your radio work needs more work.
Yeah, I'm learning though.
Alright, thanks, Nicholas.
Learning on the job.
I've
And
got,
next up,
Nicholas
it's
was nice.
Backman Turner Overdrive. Let's rock.
next up is going to be. Let's see. Let's pick something. Actually, let's see if it's next one. Let's Ryan M. Ryan with initial. Look at, I got my brainwave reading cat ears on. Are they working?
What
Hello, Ryan.
the
and-
hell?
Hey guys, big fan.
Okay.
So my question deals with the discussion of like what constitutes an esport earlier. It's kind of a more general thing about how you talked about like a governing organization that would accept a big four titles or whatever. But you say that like companies like games pay to get on the circuit. Like, won't their life depend on viewership and like their ROI on these tournaments? Does it need a governing body to, I guess, deal with that?
Yeah, you're right. In many ways, if someone's going to pay a lot of money to get on a circuit, they will require good return on their money, which is how many
Exposure.
viewerships and stuff they get. But are you saying is that just a question where it's isn't that what they need, or are you saying that isn't this the responsibility of maybe if there was a governing body to make sure that the viewership numbers, kind of like how TV has to promote, and does promote the football leagues to make sure that football gets good viewing figures for giving the contract to a certain channel? I mean, what?
Okay.
Do you want to?
sorry.
It's not you, it's me. I'm pretty fucked up. Honestly, your question was probably fucking fantastic. Paul could answer it now.
Oh my God.
I'm lost. I didn't
Sorry,
even
I'm
know.
actually-
Paul the shark over here could answer
Yeah.
it.
So, okay, so earlier you were talking about how, the analogy with, rolling around on the floor versus an extreme sport. So, what constitutes an esport and, what would be let into, a competitive tournament, or what should be let into and classified as an esport? So, with a governing body, I guess what I'm asking is, clarification is, so you're saying it would be better to only classify certain games and only let in certain games, but would it be still advantageous for esports to let other games buy their way in, but then and have the, I guess, esports governing body let them in, but then have their return on investment or their livelihood depend on how much work they put in or how much community development they put in on it.
Yeah.
No, I like that. That's the way I would kind of envision it in a way. Like if Paul, what the fuck are you doing? You can't see this, Ryan, but Paul was turned into a fucking cat. I don't know.
No,
He can see it. He can see it on stream.
Yeah,
I took some shit earlier.
Dude, it's
I
victory.
was wondering why
Cat.
he's
Screw
so
you.
quiet. He's been working on
Alright.
something. Did you draw
So-
that just now?
If there was a governing body that's had the power to say yes and no to the esport games that wanted to utilize the kind of the infrastructure that we've built in esports across multiple different teams like IEM, MLG. First of all, your first problem is they have to work together really closely, and they have representations from different, But if that did happen, I think it would be them to say if it was yes, no on the esport games, as obviously there would be community influence, and then a lot of the pressure would come onto them to how to promote that best as an esport. But the great thing about that situation is you put the power within the people who have the knowledge within esports, in my opinion, as opposed to just necessarily what the developer says is going to happen. Because at the moment, the developer says what's going to happen. You can always say no if you don't want to work that way with them. But if there's like a barrier of trusted, good people in terms of like if you want to utilize what esports is, you come through us, and then the terms and conditions of that partnership become a lot more two-way, and hopefully you always hit middle ground. Because sometimes the problem is when companies are in a desperate situation or they need to take the money, the relationship is sometimes has more sway in decision making on one side of it, and of course, like a business, they are the client. Riot are the client. They are paying, so they are asking for what they want. But sometimes the client's fucking stupid, and they don't really know. Yeah, but they are. Sometimes the client are stupid, and they don't know what they want. But you have to say yes to everything because you need the money. That's how business works.
That's true.
But in reality, you want a relationship with the developers and the organization or the governing body that's a very good split, 50-50 in terms of like how it affects both of them. Because that's how the best partnerships work. If someone gets the best deal of a partnership by so far, the other side of the partnership doesn't want to work that hard because they're not getting as good as a deal as them. If you know what I mean? So I think it's more important to get that relationship a lot even between the developer and the event organizers. And the good thing I've seen so far is the event organizers of MLG, IEM, and DreamHack have said they're kind of doing something together. Mm-hmm. And what actually I think this is going to equate to is them having the ability to put some weight back on developers and say, actually, no, we don't want to do it this way. We're actually want to do it this way. And then that developer has the choice. They can either not work with any of them, or they could just do season 3 Riot all by themselves if they have the money.
So then a counter question to that is like, are there any tournaments right now that are like, I don't know, maybe MLG that are countering back to the companies like that and putting some pressure on them?
Yeah, no, I like it's like DreamHack is very special because a lot of people want to be at DreamHack Winter, and DreamHack, everyone can be at DreamHack Winter. So they have no one can put pressure on DreamHack Winter. It's basically like you turn up, you pay for your booth space, and you can do what you want in your booth space. And MLG as well, they've done League of Legends, and they've also got Dota 2 on their MLG Game Battles platform. So these are very strong companies, but sometimes, and they're stronger when they work together. So good things could happen, but as long as they have to look after not just their interests, but the interests of the developer, if you know what I mean. Like, there's no reason that if those event organizers are working together, when I'm watching MLG as a consumer and they're doing a League of Legends tournament, they should be educating me on past results from the DreamHack tournaments in League of Legends to help with the story, and then sending me later to the IEM tournament saying it's next week and this is going to happen, because MLG didn't used to do that a long time ago. So it's back to what I believe in is the cross-pollination of esport games and esport activities, and also the kind of education, because education on what's happening in esports and what's going on, and education of the games just generally makes for better decisions on viewers on what they want to do. So
all right, Well, all right, Ryan. Thanks for the question, buddy.
Thanks a ton.
Sorry if I
For you.
talk
Anybody-
loads, Ryan, but I just really liked you because
Thanks
you've
for
got
the answer
gunner.
too, James.
You've got gunner glasses on, right, in your picture.
Yep, still.
Oh,
Oh, you
shit.
just cut him off. What
Oh,
an
shit, I
asshole.
actually
That's
did
what
that.
we do. That's what we
What
do.
an asshole.
Oh, man, I am an asshole. Sorry about that, Ryan. I
What an
didn't mean to
asshole.
do that. I
Ryan.
didn't mean to do that.
Ryan, Chris is a dick.
I am a dick. And I
fired.
have the loud keyboard too. and
Hello.
I am the definite. I am. the
Hello,
dick.
Nathan.
You need to change
We're
that before the
listening.
next show.
I know.
Yeah, it's Nathan. Yeah.
What's up?
Hi. I just want to say I've been enjoying the show and trying to think of like a question for the past
Hey,
5
awesome
minutes.
job
like-
on Pro League, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. It's whatever really. So I gotta ask a good question, right? So, in talking about like these tournaments and issues of money forcing things in or whatever, in terms like maybe the relationships between people organizing the tournaments and the games, if you could impose some sort of arbitrary rule as to how you feel things should turn out, like what would you try to do to maybe steer things in the proper direction? I just because mostly been hearing from James, like to hear what ReDeYe has to say on this
There
first,
we
maybe. Just
Yeah,
because,
shut the fuck up, James.
yeah. I mean, I love
Anyone
all
think
of
you were a
you.
guest on here or something.
I love all of you, but I'm just curious. That's all.
I'm very
He loves
curious
all of
what
us, but he
ReDeYe-
just loves Paul more.
I
Okay, that's
actually
it.
always, Nathan, want to hear what ReDeYe has to say because we never know when we won't get to hear from him again at his age. So let's see what
Jay,
words of wisdom.
how are the 30s treating you?
Oh.
Fantastically.
Good. It's funny because the 40s are the new 30s, so you must be like 18 or something. I think, I don't know. I don't think there's anything I would particularly want to enforce.
Yeah.
But what I would like to see happen is that the rules were stable and that they were applied across all of the different tournaments. So, for instance, not just the rules of each game, but actually the format. So rather than having triple, quadruple elimination or whatever that bullshit is, it's just straightforward double elimination if that's what everyone agrees, or it always starts with seeded groups into single elim or whatever. I'm not particularly swayed one way or the other, but just a consistency across all of the different tournaments that combine themselves together, that use the same set of rules and regulations and format, and that way I don't have to learn them every time I go. I don't have to come on and see a Twitch chat saying BO3 question mark, BO5 question mark, BO7 question,
Yep.
because it drives me nuts to go in as a spectator, to be able to join that channel and go, where am I and what is this? And if this guy loses, is he out? I have no
Yeah, but we
idea.
talked
do you-
about
do
this
you-
before. That has a
Yeah.
lot. The onus of that is on the organizer. There's just a
Of
lack.
course it is. But what I'm saying is the question was, what would I like to see across
Yeah.
all of? If we could agree across all tournaments, that's what I would like to see.
Yeah,
Format
I
and
disagree
rules.
with that a little bit, but
Do you? I mean, do you not
overall.
like the tournaments having their own kind of character to them in terms of?
I think you
format?
can still have that. No, I think you can still. The character isn't in the format. The character is like saying, well, I prefer the Premier League, which
Yeah.
is run over 9 months for
Yeah.
38 games, or I prefer the FA Cup, which is a knockout single elim. Random draw, no seeds. That's
Yeah, but-
not character. The character is in the fact that the FA Cup's been running for 125 years, and the Premier
Yeah, but
League's
look at-
one of the
Paul,
best
look
leagues
at-
in
look
Europe.
at
It's
golf.
not about. That's not the character for me.
Look at golf, though, Paul. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is what I've talked about before too. Is that I agree that a circuit where there's some very specific set of rules and maybe an overall format that's very similar. Like you have to have an open.
Yeah.
to
Yep,
the
that's what
event.
I'm talking about, John.
But you're also saying like
Up and down. every time.
the very specific part of the format needs to be similar, and I equate it to like golf, where one tournament is going to have obviously the course is much different than the next, and so that gives it a unique.
Yeah, but
theme.
that's fine. That's the course is like a map in a game. What we're
Right.
talking about is, does a golf tournament take 4 days to finish? Yes, it does. Does every golf tournament take 4 days to finish? Yes, it does. Do they play 18 holes every single day? Yes, they do. Do they play 72 holes over 4 days? Yes, they do. That's the format. That's what I want to see come to esports.
No, I understand that. I still like the idea of MLG might do a
what is going on with the
extended
ladder?
series, even though I
Oh,
hate
I
it.
think the ladder- I get it.
And DreamHack does group stage, crazy group stage, a 4-man group stage, 50 of them. Even though I don't agree with all of it, I kind of like the idea that each event can have its own identity in that way in the format. But overall, the format has to have some similarities. There has to be an open component.
Of
There
course
has
it
to
does.
be specific rankings
Yep.
that, but I agree to a point.
Yeah, I the continuity is a great way to tell the story in terms of like similarities between the events and knowing what you're going into. And they can have their own flavors, like map pools, if it's StarCraft 2 or maybe single limb or double limb. But as long as what really needs to happen is like a point system where, like what in my opinion really needs to happen is IEM, MLG, DreamHack, they need to connect somehow with their major events, and if they want to be, if they agree to be part of like an esport governing body, or we talk something about that, and then there's actually a grand finals that isn't a DreamHack Winter, that isn't that is actually an event that's put on by all of them, where all their logos are, and that's really your true world champion, because that's the that's the power, that's the kind of, and then each of the stops, it kind of maybe feels a little bit like golf in a way, because you got the stops in the tour, and each stop can have different sponsors. But it's something that I just feel would make esports so much more fun to watch on a yearly basis.
Well, it would also make
a big
what
climax at the end.
What do you think, Nathan? What's your opinion on what some of the things that have been said?
Well, I like ReDeYe's comment mostly because I like the idea of continuity between the tournaments and the sort of the at least tournament formats. Like, I can understand that DreamHack or MLG may want to do something individually different, maybe based on the game, but I feel like continuity for types of formats that you see at certain stages of tournaments makes it easier to follow for people, especially with the saturation that we typically see. Like, I mean, right now everyone would be like used to like Pro League formats, say, like that's pretty much exclusively what's been going on since the year started. But when you get into we had that really big November, December month and all of these tournaments with different formats, or which brackets were double elimination, which were just group play into one final bracket, single elimination. So I feel like I would like to see a little bit more of a similarity leading up to the end parts, just so like the important parts of tournaments are easier to follow for people that aren't as into following it.
I think it's also about comparison as well. John touched on it. I mean, you talk about rankings, for instance. How do you rank a player who loses in the lower bracket after he lost in the upper bracket against the same player who makes it out of a group into a single elim and gets knocked out by the eventual champion? How do you rank that guy?
Yeah,
I mean, it's much hard. You can do it mathematically. You can still do it, but it is much tougher, and it takes mathematicians and spreadsheets and PHP coding to work it out. It shouldn't need that. It should be able to go in and go, oh crap, this guy went out in the last 8 last time. He went out in the last 8 this time. He got X amount of ranking points, and it was pretty much the same as it was. I get it. I understand it. Not, oh my God, he lost twice. He's dropped down once. He goes back up. He comes back down again. He lost to this guy. I don't care. I mean, if that's the same for everything, then I know what it's going to be. But I don't know. End of rant.
Oh. I mean, there's so many benefits as well, just to the ranking system, because there isn't a ranking system that is looked upon as the ultimate ranking system that is respected by like the different organizers that are involved in it. It's actually that would actually help people get sponsorships, because it's like, I am part of this esport tour. This is the esport tour, as in it has MLG, IEM, DreamHack, and all these other people involved there, and I'm ranked 5th in the world. And as a ranked 5th in the world,
it gives you a sense of where you are as a player
by
too.
the way, for Quake 4 in 2006, based on your 12 results of top 12.
Yeah, I was ranked, but I don't think I was actually really 6. I don't know. I just think I entered.
No, but you were, based on the fact that you finished 12 tournaments in the top 12.
When you were playing, James, did you use the ranking as any kind of short-term goal type of things? Like, I want to be top 5 by the end of the year or something like that.
What, for Quake?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because actually the ranking points at WSVG got you into the grand finals.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
So actually, I had my teammate throw a game against me, so I got extra points and got through.
Yeah,
that's great.
Was that Strider?
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And Strider kind of didn't want to, because the winner had to play Fatality, and Strider was like, I can beat him because he lost to him earlier on stage, but I didn't. Yeah. And then I went to
All right. Thanks for
buddy.
answering my question, guys. Have a nice night.
Matt,
Right.
Nathan, you sound like you want to leave us.
From
You're like,
7
oh,
years.
fuck. I'm bored.
Well. I mean, I'd gladly sit down for a cup of tea if you wanted, James.
Okay, that sounds good. Can I bring crumpets?
Stripped
Take
too good of everything.
I
So,
prefer biscotti, honestly.
Ah.
I've never had that. That sounds quite
Scotties are
exotic.
good,
It's
man.
it's really
Scotties are
good. Get like some chocolate or vanilla. It's really good.
Mm.
Guys who don't know Nathan, check out his stream whenever Pro League's on.
Bye, Nathan.
Bye,
See
Nathan.
ya.
See you later. Biscotti. I don't know what that is.
All right, last one. Oh, no.
I'm gonna get some.
Mr. Stasio. He's got a serious question.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
bet it
Stasia.
isn't.
Is he even here? Oh, come on. All right.
Well, if he
Oh,
comes back,
he
we can
doesn't.
add him.
All right. All right, let's get Jesse. Ooh, Jesse got cool hair. Tuca is going to have a confessional interview with Oprah Winfrey, or failing that. What? Or failing that JP admitting. I don't even understand.
No, you wouldn't be able to fit all of his past cheating transgressions into one show.
It's not cheating. We were teammates, and if he lost the game to me, two of us
James?
went to the grand finals.
James, did
Yeah.
you fix the outcome of a match?
Yes.
Is that not cheating? Is
You're
that
a
not fall
fucking
under
cheat.
cheating?
Good.
Good.
I went to
you
New
see, you
York,
see.
I think you just
and I got
sacked.
a
Oh,
fatality
Kurt wants to call.
PC, and I shagged a girl. I had way more fun. I
Oh.
don't regret anything. I think it was a girl. Not really sure. It was kind of dark. It could have been toxic.
All right.
We were sharing a room.
All right, Key Hunt's calling in. Key Hunt. Don't say his name too quick, James. All right,
Oh,
Key
yeah.
Hunt's calling in. What's up, Kurt? Don't say his name too quick. Oh, I can hear myself. What's up, Kurt? This is like having a conversation with myself. This is weird.
He's coming via satellite with 12-second delay.
Is that any better? Lou?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's better.
What's up, man?
That's better.
Yeah, no idea what happened. Fucking computer. All right, guys. But yeah, so my question is really, it's mainly pointed towards Paul, something that Paul hit on earlier. I consider myself, I feel like I have grown in esports by either fucking up myself or looking at someone else's fuck-ups. That's really, in the end, I
Pretty
feel
much
like
what I've done.
I feel like most people shouldn't fuck up anymore because there's someone that's always done that exact same thing and learned from it later on, but you still get the same people messing up. So anyway, my question goes back to the fact that I'm not sure if anyone else has noticed, but Gottfrag is now actually permanently down, at least for now.
It's dead.
Yeah. Before it wasn't, even 6 weeks ago, it was up.
Yeah, a couple of
and
months
I would-
back it was fine.
Yeah, and I would constantly, me personally, I would constantly source, different things that would happen that have happened on Gottfrag and things like that. How depressing is that to everyone else? I mean, I'm really like.
Well, it's depressing from the point of view that, regardless of whether you like Counter-Strike 1.6 or any of the other games that Gottfrag covered in its later years, mentioning no names World of Warcraft, it's depressing because we've lost a piece of history and we've lost a vital piece of where we are now. How did we get to where we are now? So, explaining to some of the guys that are coming to esports in the last 2 or 3 years, they only kind of get snippets from us old guys about what happened in the past, and I think it's important. It's no different to, when you support a football team, learning what their history was, or if you follow Formula One like I do, understanding who the guys were in yesteryear. I've heard a lot of people talk about Fangio, for instance, from the 50s. So I go and look up Fangio, and there's a whole ton of stats that I can find out. I can look on Wikipedia. I can go and download stuff. I can look in books. I can go to the library. I can grab stuff. What do we do in 10 years from now when we want to talk about the Counter-Strike stuff that's now disappeared? And any website that goes down, I don't care how long it's been up, be it a year or 10 years, that we lose in esports is another nail in the coffin of our history. It frustrates me a lot, and I'd love to be able to at least save some of the results and the stories that happened over the years.
So wait a minute. Key Hunt.
Yes, sir.
Are you upset that their website's down and we can't get the information? Can we
Yes.
not get any? Okay, so
Yes,
all the
simply
information
the
on.
information. I don't care like if it's
just like,
relevant
okay.
or not. Like I feel like history is always relevant. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't just
So-
about Counter-Strike. That's another
Yeah.
thing. It's like
But
EG is who they are now because of their Counter-Strike history part.
So you weren't. So when you came on and you said, "I learned from watching people," fuck up.
fuck up.
Yeah. Which you must be learning fucking loads from this show, mate. Seriously, like a well of information. You weren't depressed because they didn't continue got frag and adapt to esports
No.
and pick up new games. You're just depressed because you've lost information. No one's got it anymore.
I
and
expected as soon as it got sold to MLG that it wasn't exactly going to go well. I think everyone expected that. Like, I mean, it wasn't going to really continue to adapt much. But I'm just upset that it is officially down now. That all the information, no one saved that, as far as we know
There's
so
not a
far.
mirror site. There's got to be a mirror. I mean, there's got to
But
be.
do we know no one saved it?
Yeah,
Like
there's
what?
gotta
Do
be.
Lee, isn't Lee
We don't know
Chen?
that yet. I've tried reaching out to Lee Chen multiple times about it, and I haven't got any response.
It's fucking.
Let's get him on here, damn it.
Right.
Yeah, like from what the rumors are that they're looking to bring Gottfrag back officially. They're looking to actually give it, potentially give an editor in chief spot to someone to bring it back. But that's been a rumor for a while now. But now the site is officially down, where it simply just redirects you to MLG. And I just, once again, I tend to source that because there is a lot of history there, and some teams and some managers and some might want you to forget it because they did shit that they don't necessarily want people to see, and some of them the history is great history. I think Complexity has an amazing story.
I have a Skype message from someone I won't reveal, but they've basically said it will come back.
Okay.
So Gottfrag is not dead forever.
So the content's not gone.
Let me click
No,
on
the
the
I doubt
content
that
is still
it's
there
not.
apparently.
Are you still feeling depressed, or are you quite happy now? How are you feeling?
I can officially get off the Prozac. Send it back.
I could recommend a few things.
No, I've got plenty to play.
But seriously, I mean, you do raise an important point, and that is that perhaps we as an esport community need to start an esports wiki of some kind that we can all contribute to, and we all contribute those stories to, and
and it is
maintain
fantastic.
as a community rather than rely on one single entity that
It's amazing for commentators, and actually StarCraft have done it best through Team Liquid.
Yeah, Liquipedia
and
was
Wiki.
amazing.
I mean, when Forzane won his Pro League match, they said how many days it was since a foreigner won that match.
Yep.
Yeah,
that they were able to get that information just because of their keeping records. So
Liquipedia is absolutely amazing. And Leaguepedia just the same. They do a great job on that as well. So
the funny thing is like in Counter-Strike there was so much going on. I don't think anyone could have kept up with that information to record it, etc. It would have to be a massive community contribution.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, in Quake, do you know the admin from ES Reality, Zoo, the French guy?
I do.
He
And
actually has a database.
The whole
But I
history
also
of it.
fucking know, ReDeYe, you've got a database
I
as well.
do. I do have a database of results that go all the way back to 1995.
Yeah,
Really?
ReDeYe has
Wow.
a database of results because he uses it.
An
Because-
organized
And
database, one that you put together?
One that I've put together that I
Really?
built the PHP code for
Why
that
is-
lives on not a website out there because it was horrible. It was badly I coded it, so it was really badly coded. It was very inefficient with the way that it dealt with the data, but the database integrity itself is pretty strong. It just needs a front end that works for people to actually use it properly.
Yeah, but the interesting thing now is when we talk about, in my opinion, from a business side, you've got that information, that's your information.
Yeah.
Zoo's got information, that's his. There's
Yeah.
stuff on Gottfrag as well. If people want to share what they work with, I mean, are they sharing it to help esports, or are they looking for a business angle in terms of what their database?
I mean, I was looking
Database
for a
is
business
all worth.
angle. Yeah, no. I was looking for a business angle before. Thought I'd have one with GGL. That didn't work out. I kept the code, and I've not really added to it in terms of I think probably 2007.
What does it do? I mean, is it just scraping, or is it just are you
No,
manually
it's not scraping.
entering this
It's
stuff?
manually entered every single result. I trawled the internet for a year and a half looking for results of all the 1v1 tournaments.
Key Hunt's excited.
Since
See,
1995.
this is the drug he needs right here.
What I'm going to
Mr.
do is I'm
ReDeYe.
going to make a promise. It's part of my New Year's resolutions was to sort this fucking database out this year, and actually get it published somewhere. And I'm not looking for a business angle on it.
That's a
I'm
good
literally
idea.
just going to try and get it coded, front end coded, and get it up and running. Don't get too excited either. It's 1v1 players. So anything that took place in Doom 2, Doom 3, Hexen, Quake World,
Holy shit.
Quake 2, Quake 3, Quake 4, Painkiller, Unreal Tournament 2003 and 4, and that's about it. I think.
There were tournaments in Hexen?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
I'm the
god.
kind of
Yeah.
I'm the
There
kind of
were
guy that
tournaments
like
in Hexen as well.
I'm as big a nerd that I would love to see the GameSense stats back too, but they've been gone for years. So
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
personally
I
really enjoyed GameSense.
I've literally been saving this stuff since about 2003-ish. So yeah, I have pretty much everything back to Deathmatch 95, the very first tournament that took place, and everything since, in terms of, some really bizarre stuff as well. I don't even know if it's on this computer. Let me have a look. Maybe I can put a screenshot up or something on Twitter. I'll have a look and see websites.
Apparently, under my
No,
results
it's it.
versus Strider, where I won, you're going to have to write according to the chat.
Yeah,
Match
you have
was
to put a little
fixed.
It's got to have an asterisk next to it.
James
Next
is a dick.
Yeah, I'm
He'll
gonna,
never
I'm
get
gonna-
it. He'll never get into the Hall of Fame now.
I don't
You'd
have
be surprised about how many players and teams have done that exact same thing.
I looked at it
know,
as
I'm sure
F1.
it's
I was like, we're in the same team.
Well, was it
and he
accepted?
agreed as
Was
well.
it accepted back then? I mean, that was just by all the teams.
It wasn't really accepted even back then. No.
No, we didn't
Just
tell anybody
happened.
about it. ReDeYe
Uh,
came up to me
so-
and said, "What's that fix?" And I just smiled and said, "What do you mean fix?"
What do you mean
Well,
fixed?
Yeah, so just to clarify, it's all written in PHP and SQL as a database.
Okay, cool.
So if anyone out there wants to help free of charge, I'm more than happy to hook them up with the database and get a front end. I need a front end for it. I've got a front end, but it's absolutely atrocious, and the way I'm calling stuff from the SQL is massively inefficient.
Big ol'
I mean, it
select.
takes
Big ol'
about
select.
15 seconds to get the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's terrible.
But what's interesting about this is, like, okay, so this 1v1 information is not going to be too relevant, but when there's a new 1v1 FPS game out on the market, you're going to be able to say stuff as a commentator. No one has won 9 back-to-back majors since Toxic in Quake 4 in 2000, and before him, the person that got the closest was, Fatality in Quake 3 in
In other words,
2002. So
build
this
the sports.
person, this person has done what no one has done before him in a decade. Like that's what this information is going to mean to us when we actually present it properly. It's commentators on television, and that's why it's really important. And that's why, like with NIP and something that you could probably agree with, K-Hunt, is like NIP now. Everyone's like DJ Wheat tells the hype, and they tell the hype around NIP, but no one really finds that information anywhere of what they did.
Yeah.
It's not like you can read about.
No one
it.
knows the
Right.
backstory. And,
Yeah.
between SK and
And the
NIP
backstory is what sustains our growth. It's like feet underneath our table because it is where it's how we got to where we are today. But if we keep forgetting about that and we just keep regurgitating everything,
It improves the storytelling that we've always talked about too on the show. So
Well, that's why the last time when Jason Lake was on, I asked or actually it might have been Jason Bass.
It was Bass,
I asked the question, when are we going to see Complexity's history out? Because no one knows who the fuck you are, and no one knows how you. Well, I mean, in all seriousness, like I like Complexity. I'm a big Complexity fan because of their history, but no one knows their history. No one really cares anymore. You know?
Yeah, I do.
So,
well, Paul, if you can't find anybody, if I find like any time, I could help you with it actually. But
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find something.
what is he doing? Oh shit! All right, Kurt.
So,
thanks,
what
bud.
else have you been up to, Key Hunt?
Oh, actually,
what else have you been doing lately?
we'll just keep you here. We just keep you here.
Yeah. You been up to anything good lately? Seen anything?
New teams. New
standing on my soapbox. That's as good as I'm good for anymore, man.
Oh.
Just standing on the soapbox.
he does that quite a bit actually.
But while he's gone though, I do have another question. I do
Alright.
because I'm going to ask it. So we hear about these teams And
No,
the
I couldn't find it. It's
possibility-
okay.
The possibility of these teams, not even just the possibility, I think it's almost a sure thing now. These teams getting together and not combining, but getting together and possibly creating, something along the lines of another G7, but a little more private.
Are they really doing that though? I mean,
I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they aren't. I'm saying there's strong rumors of it happening. So even if it is happening, this is my only question. If it is happening, what's the one thing do you think that these teams should demand, which is technically what they'll be doing, demanding from the developers of the leagues?
They don't necessarily need to be demanding, because that's not how you should approach that. I actually think, I don't want to answer your question, but I'm going to answer it in a different way. I'm going to say the teams won't collaborate because I don't think that they're healthy enough individually to want to work together so they all kind of, share. I think that the ones that are ahead want to stay ahead with sponsors. Yep. The ones that are behind are eagerly trying to catch up. And I think the difference between the top esport teams in terms of income and fan base is so different that I don't think we'll see a G7 again until everyone is making a lot of money within their teams. Everyone has their own fan base that they've built up, and it's a very strong fan base. So even if you kind of work in partnerships and you're working together, your fan base will always be yours. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think there will be another G7. There's no way.
That's a good point.
I think it's already happening. It's just it's not public like the G7. I think there's a big difference.
What do you mean it's
at
already
what
happening?
level?
What do you
At
mean?
what level will it happen?
People,
to?
people talk to each other, and people talk. Like, I'm sure there's messages like between the owners of the team saying, "Hey, I just had someone contact me and say this. Like, this is a bit weird. Are they saying the same thing to you? Okay, let's both agree to try and handle it this way." But in terms of what the G7 tried to do, it was
Tried. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's much different than creating this entity that they're going to try to approach sponsors with and try to negotiate with tournament organizers and stuff like that.
I don't think there's. I don't think actually teams have a huge amount of weight in esports these days.
Well, I mean,
I think
right
the
now
problem
they
is
do,
that
right?
I don't think they do
I think they
either,
have.
James.
I think they do, but the
Right
problem
now
is,
they
I
do.
think
they do. Is will they use it?
No, teams have weight
I think
over players. That's it.
No, I think teams do have some power, and they should have some power because they're paying the players and what have you. But I think that there are some teams who overestimate how much power they have. I think that's the issue.
Point.
Yeah.
If EG decided that they were, and just let's throw this out there. If EG, along with 10 other teams, whoever they are, let's go with 10 other teams. If EG with 10 other teams decided that they were not going to attend an event, not only that, they were not going to attend the event, they were going to try their best to put on another event, whether it be an online event or even a LAN event at that particular point in time. You don't think that holds a little weight? Team Liquid, EG, SK.
That's a total.
But it's like for them.
I think I've seen this
that's a
before.
question
Though.
like saying.
And Key Hunt, you should know about this if you're into auto racing in North America. Many years ago, the IndyCar Racing
Definitely
League.
not. But
Okay.
Jeez, Paul, what was that all about, dude?
Here we go. Okay, so in North America, there used to be a sport called IndyCar Racing. Okay, and IndyCar Racing was effectively like the Formula One of North America. It traveled around 16 to 20 different oval circuits and road races and tracks and what have you. And a group of people got together. Some team members and team owners said they weren't getting enough money from IndyCar racing, so they were going to set up their own league, and they were going to go off and do the IRL. And guess what? It one died and one survived because that's the way it works. So it has happened before. So saying that they haven't got any power at all is ridiculous. They have got the power to go and do that. But guess what also happened in IndyCar racing? It got 12 new teams and new drivers and new opportunities for engines and manufacturers to come in and what have you. So, they can go off and do that if they really wanted to, and I don't think they do. But they're just going to get replaced by other people anyway. So,
with the original question was, what would you want the teams, or what do you think they would demand if they did come together as a union? What do you think they would?
Yeah. What's your opinion? What would you like to see them ask for? Because I know, John, you have strong opinions about things like that for leagues.
Man.
Well, I think travel compensation would be the first thing.
That's
The
biggest
biggest payout that they have, that they pay out up front with no knowing whether they're going to get any return for it. So I think if leagues could, and I speak there, this is very much an independent view, by the way, this is not an ESL view, but I think if teams could come to an agreement and an arrangement that their IP and their brands produce more viewers and more people tuning into the streams, and we know that it does, by having them involved in a tournament, then absolutely they should be paid to get there. In other words, they should have their travel compensated to make sure that the players can get there. And then that way the teams have got less risk.
The other thing that I would add to that, I mean, travels, it's is actually I would like the teams to pretty much decide a lot more on the prize distribution, to make sure it's not just like the top 3 getting paid or the top 6 or top 8, and actually get like 32 or 16 players paid. And then for the teams, because that's a lot of people to pay, the administration cost of paying that many people, especially from all over the world, is a pain in the ass. So then for the teams to also take it upon themselves to make sure that they have the infrastructure within their network of teams to make sure that they're able to distribute that money to their players very, very quickly. Meaning that
do you know what? You've touched on something, James, that's absolutely spot on. And as a finance person for many years, I can tell you that the best thing that teams could do right now is form an association of teams that the association gets paid the lump sum of money.
And then
they distribute it however they want.
Because
and you will
basically
find that payments will go out faster as well, so everyone wins.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
That's basically, well, the next thing was going to say is that, it's like, if a company just has to pay one invoice for the prize money, and that and it's a registered company, and then that company handles the payment out, it means that MLG can have their accountant handle all the payments from an MLG event in one payment almost.
Exactly.
Depending
really
if all those teams represented the winners, etc. But then and it stops the problem, because you've got so many problems with payment in terms of this person's from this country, this person we have to withhold tax on. So that would be the most beneficial thing.
You realize all of this requires that the organizations actually pay out, right?
Yeah, but that's the other thing you can do.
They could do easier too. I mean,
do you know what? A lot of the bad publicity about people not paying out right now is actually it is an issue, but it's not as big as it seems to be. And the reason for it is this administration issues. I spent a lot of time with players in 05 and 06 trying to get money out of organisers when they weren't paying. And they weren't paying because they were basically saying, well, we'll run this tournament, and the money we get from this tournament will pay for the next one.
Tournament.
So we'll pay the prize money for the last tournament that we ran a year ago.
Terrible.
And that's why we had issues. People were living, hand to mouth, but tournament. But now they aren't. They aren't doing that now.
Also,
speaking of ESWC, though, what are they actually current on their payments? Like, how are they doing?
They have actually announced that they're going to pay everything out this year that they owed from previous times. Now, I think that's a pretty bold statement, especially when you consider that actually the people technically and financially and legally running ESWC now don't have to and have no debt on their company whatsoever. They took on a company and a brand name. That's it. Yet they've agreed to pay that money back. I think that's amazing.
All right, Kurt.
Yeah, Key Hunt. Wait, I was just going to answer you. Before you interrupted me. You Key Hunt.
You did.
I was going to say also, you said, that's if the organizations pay out, but that's the whole point of being able to create a union within the teams, is that if the organizations don't pay out with 30 days, maybe you will decide you don't come back for the next event.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you very much. You've been great on the show, Key Hunt.
Stop back anytime.
Bye, guys.
All right, Kurt. Thanks, bud. Thanks. All right, let's start wrapping this puppy up. It's getting late. So why don't we do some shout-outs, thank yous. James, you want to start?
No.
John, you want to start?
I guess shout-outs to all those that tuned in. Shout-out to you guys. Thanks, James, for making it on the show.
My pleasure.
Yeah, that's about it for now.
Paul?
I have a shout out to the guy that was standing in line in the post office this morning when I took out 2,400 euros in cash, and the woman behind the counter was going 50, 100, 2,100, 2,120, 2,100, and she was doing it in the loudest voice possible so that the entire population of the post office behind me knew that I was walking out of there with 2,400 euros in cash. I'd like to thank the gentleman who was standing directly behind me for not beating the shit out of me and stealing my money.
Firstly, like, who the fuck puts money in the post office? You have to be from the 18th century to do that.
Dude, no, don't go there, because I know you're trying to do an old joke and it's going to fail horribly. This weekend, I'm moving to Germany, okay? And now, Germans like to sell their rental properties with the furniture in it, and you have to buy the furniture. And the furniture I have to purchase this weekend means that I have to pay out in cash. Now, cash in my country is pounds, and cash in their country is euros. I used the post office to change it up. A word to the wise. If you change up £2,000, don't go to the bank because they give you £2,286. Go to the post office; they give you €2,400.
Yeah,
they do. It's amazing.
No, but the thing is, you can actually get euros from some of the banks, especially if you. I think you can even call ahead.
Yeah.
But actually, the post office actually seem to give a better exchange rate in England, which
They do.
is weird.
Massively.
So there you go. You can have that one. My shout-outs are all to the people, all the goodlings that watch the Good Show and all the other show, and everyone who just thinks I'm an idiot, really, because
you are.
Yeah. I mean, I got to shout everything.
He thrives on that, people. He thrives on that.
The thing is, I like people who like me, and I don't mind if people think I'm an idiot. And I also like people who, I like people who hate me, because I actually like to piss people off. So if someone hates me and I know they hate me, I actually find it quite amusing, because I think to myself, I'm actually pissing that person off. That makes me happy. And if they don't like me in the first place, I don't really care.
So which means he likes everybody.
So I shout at all of them.
Who don't you like then?
Huh? Oh, I can not like people, but I actually don't think I dislike anybody. I am a little bit narcissistic. I don't care too much about other people, to be honest, to actually have an opinion. I just have an opinion of me and what they can do for me. So that's how. It's not true. It's not true. It's true.
And he's a born-again
I want to give a shout-out to James for hosting the show today, so I could take a break, and also I also want to give a shout out to all the guys I met in Vegas, because I don't get a lot of a chance to go meet a bunch of esports folks.
You don't get out much.
Exactly, so it was cool.
Did you get to go to any fancy clubs in Vegas? Did you go clubbing?
We went to Rain, went to Pure.
What was it like? How much did you pay? Like, what kind of clubbing?
It's all party. They're all like AT&T Party and Kingston Party. It's either a bunch of like industry folks or developers standing there. So it's
did you any good stories from your partying in Vegas?
Not that he can say now. His wife's probably made it.
I was going to say she's in the background listening in.
Yeah, exactly, right. No, but
from other people. Yeah, I saw something.
So we'll ask you a question. Can she hear us, Chris?
No, she can't hear us. But
okay, we'll talk quietly. Did you go to a strip club?
Comment. No comment.
What?
I'm not going to say anything either.
No comment.
So
nobody ever comments about that. And,
James, use your superior investigative journalistic interviewing techniques.
I went to a strip club recently, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Oh. Nice.
I don't know why. I just found myself in there at like 5 o'clock in the morning. But it's really fucking expensive in Sweden. But
at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
no, I don't know. It was just
but
she was fucking gorgeous. Like, way hot. I was like, that's ridiculous. And it was good fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. I warned
story, bro.
Okay,
I warned her. I said, don't touch
more,
everything. I might have chlamydia. So
you might have chlamydia. Oh my gosh! All right.
Yeah.
Well, as you guys saw earlier too, these cat ears, they read my brain waves. So if you guys are probably wondering what the hell was up with that, but they're supposed to like if I'm not stressed, they're supposed to move, and when I'm stressed, they're supposed to stop. But
dude, this sounds like the story of the. I know I've got these here. Hang on. Let me just reach over. Okay. In amongst this,
our shout outs.
This is this crazy memorabilia stuff that people sent me. So I've got one of these, which is that SI Games sent me, which is a football from Football Manager. But anyway, one of the things I dug out of because I'm going through all my
Those
stuff to pack
boxes,
stuff
right?
up for Germany. Yeah, I've
Right,
actually
yeah.
got sent one of these from OCZ, right? Which apparently is a neural impulse actuator.
What?
Which marks a new era in gaming, a pioneering foray that takes the first step towards total immersion into your gaming experience. The NIA is compatible with any people, blah, blah, blah. Real-world-based behavioural patterns from your brain help the user to quickly develop the NIA memory to master action-packed situations by dodging bullets and returning fire with the blink of an eye. I mean, literally, you put this on your head, right? Hang on, can you see that? Yeah, you
Is
can.
it OCZ?
You put that up. Yeah, it's the OCZ. Neural
tried that.
impulse actuator.
I fucking tried that.
What a
right?
pile of crap.
I fucking tried that. I went to a convention like years ago, and I went to see OCZ with Fnatic because I was one of the managers, and I was with Sam, and basically there was this weird-looking guy. He looked like the Doc from Back to the Future. He had this thing. He had this thing strapped to his head.
Yeah.
And then he was in Unreal Tournament. He was just sat there. He wasn't making any moves. He was just sat there,
exactly.
and he was jumping around in Unreal Tournament. Put it on,
Yeah,
ReDeYe.
that's what it does. Yeah,
And basically, he put it on me, and I was like, right, so I'm going to get to play this game with my head. And I was like, my head, it has problems navigating me around the street. I don't know how this is going to correlate into the game. And so he put it on to me, and we did this calibration test. And, I'm sat there, and there's just, like, things on the screen. And I'm like, when do I, get to meet, McFly and stuff? And then he goes, right, you can play now. And he goes, I've adjusted it to you. And I went in Unreal Tournament, and I just kept jumping left. And I was like, this is stupid, because jumping left is the thing I'm trying to do the least. And I just kept on going left. And what I found was it was bullshit. And if I just moved my eyebrows and made silly frowny faces, I could control my character. So it was just...
Okay, this isn't like that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's on.
No, it's
okay?
exactly the same thing. That's what I had on my head.
Yeah, is that what you've
It's got
got?
the sensors, and then you would plug it in. You got software, and it would
basically, I go-
calibrate it.
Okay, I'm trying the eyebrow thing.
Yeah.
No,
and then
no, it's not doing it.
And when I played, I only jumped left.
Dodge, fire!
Oh my god, you look like you look somebody in an asylum or something.
And this came out in
I
like
can keep this thing on.
2008 or something,
I don't know
2007,
when it came out,
2008.
but anyway, I
What?
found it in a box of stuff that's marked free shit. And this got sent to me at some point, and I did try it at the time, and then I've basically put it back in its box. So if anyone wants that, just send me a note on Twitter, and I'll mail it to someone.
Fatality.
Doesn't he look like he's from an 80s movie or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't put my eye on which one it is, though. I mean, my finger on which one it is.
There we
Jesus.
go. I had to tell that story, by the way, even if it might have been shit, just so Paul could get it on his head. Trying to work out which was the front, the back.
It's funny actually because when Too Good and I go out clubbing
Oh
and
my
stuff, he's
God.
often my wingman. He'll obviously
Your
talk to
wingman?
a girl. Yeah, a wingman. A wingman.
Yeah.
Do you know about?
No, I
wingmen?
know what a wingman
So-
is. Why is
right,
it
okay,
your
no,
wingman?
You guys,
Well, because I need help and he doesn't.
Oh,
so
okay.
what happens is we go out and he'll talk to a girl, pretend he's a retard, and then I'll come over and say, "Is this chap bothering you?" And she'll be like, "Oh, English," and I'll be like, "Yeah."
Wait.
bitch."
I pretend
what?
pretend I'm a retard. In my
He
head,
pretend
I got
he's American.
I got that as I'm an actually retarded person. and then you, the white knight, comes over to the girl and goes, "Is this mentally challenged spastic who has Down
That's pretty
syndrome
much-
bothering?
He's dressed in a
I
suit.
can beat him up if that's what you want." That's not a good wingman.
Oh my god, that's y'all's skit. Oh my
not
god,
good. No, it's
that's
not. That's
terrible,
No,
man.
that's just
think
one
I-
of them. Guys, you need to read the
terrible.
bro
Hard
code.
differently as to what you wanted it to. I think.
No, you need to read the bro code.
Sorry
Seriously.
for shouting, by the way. I was just.
Dude, I need to give you the
Yeah.
game the book the game man to read.
Okay, I've broken the box now.
Oh,
So if anyone wants that with a broken box,
you mean the
uh,
game?
Yeah, the game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
it's a
read
good book.
that.
It's a good book.
My brother plays that. My brother is actually.
So is he
I don't-
good? Is he good?
Yeah, no, he's ridiculous. He knows he can do magic tricks. He's like,
Nice.
yeah, he's like alpha. I'm beta.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. All right, let's call it a day. VOD's gonna be up later tonight. Actually, the VOD, second part of the VOD from last week will be up too. We had like a huge bunch of issues with Twitch trying to export that thing, so that'll be up too. And then
What do we have next week?
Tuesday.
Do we know yet?
Paul, you gonna be here Tuesday?
I'm gonna say maybe, maybe not. I don't actually know. We pack the van up on Saturday, drive to Germany on Sunday. I then unpack Monday. I'm then in the office on Tuesday at ESL, and then I'm flying to Poland on Wednesday, I think. I think that's my schedule for next week.
Let's just say Richard Lewis is going to be on the show at the Tuesday.
Yeah.
I would.
There might be a cardboard cutout of me or something. I don't know. I hope so.
All right, but yeah, we'll be back on our regular time after Mr. James Harding's show, the Good Studios. But follow everybody on Twitter. All our Twitters are on the overlays right now, and we much greatly appreciate it. Follow this channel too if you like what you see, and that's gonna be it. So we'll see. Okay, what do you guys say?
And the last shout out to Twitch TV.
Yep, Twitch
for
TV.
all the shit they've done. And the funny thing is, a lot of people think that everyone else spends like the most money in esports because they got prize money of 5 million, etc. Because Twitch actually have probably spent the most money in esports.
Oh, easily.
So far. Like, actually, no, there's like Razer and maybe Riot.
Samsung, maybe.
Or Samsung,
oh,
yeah.
Samsung. Oh my gosh.
But I think for a new company coming in, they've done the most. So a big shout out to them
Well, they've just
a lot
changed the industry too.
They've changed esports.
It's like this is a whole new show.
Exactly. Yeah, we got Kevin Lynn on the show in 2 weeks, so we'll be talking about that. But all right, guys, we're gonna see you next time. Peace. Later.
Thank you.
That's DJ Wheat sign off.
I know. I need to change. I need to do something else. Damn, I can't. It's like
cheerio.
It's habit.